Oof. We'll see what happens.
You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-in Studio
would be a
web
better
interface.
program if it didn't charge you as the host. I shouldn't be charged to be on my own call system. Okay, we're gonna get this crack-a-lack in my back and tracking blacket with a flacken. My blackens. Anyway, I'm thinking about doing a members only stream on YouTube to do a office hours. Jesus Christ, I'm not feeling well. So I think that might be what we do. We do like an office hours as a member only stream on YouTube. I mean, I guess I could also do as a sub only stream on Twitch. Yeah, I don't like the neti pot stuff, dude. I'm not a big fan of that. What if I get a brain parasite? Then what do I do? What if I did the entirety of a What if I started doing all debates talking like Mort from Madagascar? What if that's how I do every debate from now until eternity? What if that's how I do all the debates? I can't actually do a Mort, but you know. How much for the little doggy in the window there? How much is your little doggy, sir? Little doggy, my ass. We have dozens of videos of ICE being violent thugs, but I'm not seeing the videos of the gangs in the flaming cities. Oh my god. Holy shit, true? Holy shit. I can't do any voices because I'm sick. So I can't do voice. I mean, not that I could do voices well before, but... Anyway, I gotta pay my electric bill. There goes money down the drain. I'm sure most of the electricity in this house comes from this room. But I can't change that. Men who date trans women are gay AF. They're women. You think men that date women are gay? I mean, it's telling on yourself a little bit. Said, me personally, I think you should only date strong, buff men. Fellas, is it gay to date a woman? Fellas, I'm looking at you. Chat. Is being with a woman gay? I just assume when somebody comes in and they go, doing X is gay. They say that because they do X or want to do X, but they don't want to come out the closet. They just want you to interpret that they want to come out the closet. They want you to tell them. I'm so gay for women. Oh, God. I'm dying here, dude. I've been playing a fucking water park simulator. That shit's goated. That shit is so goated, bro. If you disagree with the topics on the board, feel free to call in. Don't be scared. No reason to be scared. I'm just a dumb old liberal. You know? I'm just one of them damn dirty liberals. I try Reanimal. What is that? Water park simulator is fun as shit. I really fuck with simulator games. I don't know why. Thank you, Jess. Call-in lines are open. They are open and ready to go. If you're interested in debating, god damn, dude, this beginning of this call is gonna drive me fucking batty, dude. I don't know. I'm not playing Little Nightmares 3. Absolutely not. No, I'm just building the water park. I named my water park Wet Ass Park. My park is a WAP. There's some holes in this house. I gotta figure out. I played Among the Sleep years ago when the game like first came out. I gotta figure out how I want to organize my new source document list. I really do. I gotta figure out the best way to organize this thing so that it makes sense. Every time I start organizing it, I always like be like, no, I hate this, and then I start again. This stream is on wife support. This isn't even my main platform, homie. What the fuck you talking about? I'm over here talking to my friends on Twitch. If the MAGA are too scared to call in, it's fine. Here, let's run a poll. Let's run a poll and find out. Start a poll. Do you think MAGA are scared to debate? Question mark. Start poll. They do think Democrats are left wing. It's fucking embarrassing. They don't know the actual like political spectrum. Like Biden wasn't fucking middle, fucking center. They've been scared? Of course they're scared. It's interesting. Someone said that people are saying, no, MAGA's not scared, yet we have 0 calls, which leads me to believe he wasn't. Biden was absolutely center. He was the most centrist motherfucker on the planet. You leftists are just extremists. You don't know what the fuck I am, homie. Spell leftism. There's no debate. You already have your mind made up. Untrue. My mind is where it is because of research. If someone brings me counter evidence that proves me wrong, I will change my worldview. It's yet to happen. Would love to see it happen just one time. It would be so great to see someone just once provide me with a shred of counter evidence. How many calls do you get? Depends on the day. There was a day last week where the phone lines were ringing off the hook. Like I ended the stream and there were still like 5 people that didn't get a chance to call in. And then there are times where it's just a bit slower, you know? They're so brave in the chat. I'm telling you, just ignore them in the chat, guys. They will either leave or they'll call in. You ignore all evidence. No evidence has been presented to me, you jabroni. All this typing, why aren't they calling? It's because they're scared, guys. It is a difficult thing to put your position, your beliefs in a position to be picked apart. It is easier to comment and not challenge yourself because then you don't have to, even if they don't change their mind on the stream, you have to go home and think about the fact that you are not able to defend the belief systems that you hold. They don't want to put themselves through that. Nobody wants to call in and talk to a room full of mentally ill people. You'd be talking to one person, and it's me. Do you hear voices? What makes you think you're talking to a room full of people? There's one person. It's me. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just read the King James version, go to church and listen to God. I did. That's why I own a slave. I beat him with a rod when he doesn't do what I want him to do. That's why I'm going to pass him down to my children so he can be enslaved for all of his life. It's because I read the Bible. And I made sure that when my daughter reaches the right age, I'm going to sell her into slavery so that she can be forced into sex slavery. It's because I read the Bible, and I do what the Bible tells me to. I do what is commanded of me from my God. You won't give him props for the treaty, though, the one that Israel just broke this morning? Wow, how's that treaty going? Wowzers. Crazy. Reading the King James Version is the quickest path to atheism round. Yo, so fucking true, bro. So true. Fastest thing to put me on the path to atheism was reading the fucking Bible. How you doing today? I'm doing chill. I'm chill. They just broke it again? Yeah, they killed, what was it, 5 Palestinians? This morning. They had tanks shooting mortars off. There was never a ceasefire to begin with. I don't know why people act like there was a ceasefire. We all knew there wasn't. We're not stupid. Netanyahu has said he does not want to agree to peace. He does not want to remove himself from Gaza. All right, we got somebody calling in. We got up on the line coming in. We got Brandon. Brandon wants to talk about topic number 1. Brandon, hello. Are you here to debate?
Hello. Yes, sir. How are you doing today?
Chilling, Brandon. Can I get your age and pronouns, please?
I am 22, and I am a male, so I just go by he, him.
Okay, and Brandon, you wanted to debate topic number 1. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of really wanted to call in just to take like a perspective or understand your perspective, I guess. I'm not really here to like bash or debate, but I'm just curious. I guess from my perspective, like I think that, you know, if you identify as a trans man or trans woman, that you are forever biologically, you know, you were born with a set of chromosomes and you're just, you know, you're either a man or a woman. Now you can, you know, societally, you know, they say, well, gender is a social construct, and that's the thing that many people don't understand. But, I mean, I think there has to be like a line with, you can choose to identify as something, but it not necessarily be rooted in truth, like based on
okay, Brandon,
biology.
Brandon, what does biology have to do with gender?
Well, gender and biology, I think they go hand in hand with each other.
Why do you think that?
Because in any like animal, any other animal on Earth, like, you know, it's either you typically female or a male.
No other animal has gender but us.
Okay, so
Because you just did it
gender is
again. You
totally a
said
social
gender.
construct. Is that-
You said gender goes hand in hand with biology because animals have male and female. That doesn't. That's not an. That is an incoherent answer if I've ever heard one.
I'm just curious. Like, what is gender to you?
Gender would be the socially and culturally constructed traits and attributes typically tied to any of the sexes.
Typically tied to any of the sexes.
Yes.
So
they are traits and attributes placed upon the sexes by society and culture.
Sorry, I'm not meaning to interrupt you. Okay, so if it's typically tied to the sexes, then I think that if you say the word gender is like 100% just a societal construct,
it is.
Then sure, I think I don't know.
Societal constructs can be tied to social constructs can be tied to biological things. That doesn't make them not social constructs. Okay,
I see your perspective on it. I just think that if we were to say that gender is 100% a social construct,
it is.
Then it allows. I guess my issue is that like people on the LGBTQ, they're part of that community, and I have a feeling that like a majority of conservatives, or I guess right wingers, will say, trans women, like there's hate. There's definitely some hate and fatigue, I suppose, but I have a feeling that it's more rooted. Like there's nothing wrong with people being homosexual or anything of that nature, but I guess it's the idea that we have to fully accept these people that have gender dysphoria or like some sort of mental illness, which I think is it's prominent. It exists.
Okay, I just need you, Brandon. I just need you to be able to substantiate some things. Now you're saying gender dysphoria is a mental illness, and like being trans is a mental illness. Can you substantiate that in like any meaningful way?
Well, I think that, when you think that you are something that you are not biologically, then that, can be considered a mental illness.
Now we're back to the first question. Can you substantiate that gender is like a biological thing? So you're saying, so now in order to substantiate the next thing you said, you have to substantiate the first thing you said.
You're saying it's partly social construct, but you can't deny that it's not rooted in your sex, like in
there is a link
or a woman.
There's a link to sex, but gender being the attributes and traits assigned to the sexes by any given society and culture would not be a biological thing. It would be the traits that are assigned, so it's social.
Okay, so trans women.
But before we move on, Brandon, I'm just going to say you're using a lot of "I think" statements, right? Can you use any like "this is" statement or "it is the case" statement? Like, can you substantiate this anywhere past just "I think it's this"?
Probably not. I'm not going to say like I know everything or I'm very well informed on this topic. This is just kind of like stuff that I hear everywhere.
But then it seems weird that you're willing to come and debate it, but you're not researched on it,
Well, no. I said from the beginning, I kind of just wanted to have a conversation on your perspective on it, like, this is what I think and what I kind of believe.
Sure. But, my perspective is very simple. It's the sociological, biological, and neurological and psychological consensus on all of these things. We have a part of our brain that gender identity exists in. Gender identity is something that's a constant in human brains. We know that gender identity is tied to the way that your brain interprets your sex in the context of whatever given society or culture you're in. We know that gender and sex are not the same thing. So this is all consensus on a scientific level. So like I'm just wondering, like, if you disagree with that, that's fine. I would just need you to have or even if you don't disagree, if you think otherwise, right? If you think, well, I don't think this is the case, if you're just basing that on like, I think it's this way because I think it's this way, I just think you don't really have a solid grounding for that belief system.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, all right. Well, I guess I don't really have much else to say, but I want to thank you for allowing me to be on
Well,
the
so
call
Brandon,
and just hear your
hold on,
perspective.
wait, really quickly. So then, just
Yeah.
so that we're understanding each other, because I think there's a really good chance for growth here. If you agree that your belief system isn't really based on any scientific consensus, any fact based upon sociology, neurology, biology, all whatever you have would you agree that, or would you agree that you don't really have a reason to believe that, for instance, trans women are not women? You don't really have a reason to believe that.
Well, I guess maybe, but it's difficult for, I guess, me to say that trans women are women, not in an effort to, I guess, like hurt this marginalized group of people, but it's difficult to accept based on biology and, I guess, sex. I'm sorry, on the sex. You know, that's the most difficult thing to understand, and I'm not sure. I mean,
well, but okay. So here's I understand you're saying it's difficult for you to accept based on the sex, but man and woman are not sex-related terms. They're gender terms. Sex terms, male and female, exist, and nobody's like arguing about that. But when it comes to gender, right? When it comes to those categories, you don't have a reason why trans women wouldn't fit into the category of woman, or trans men wouldn't fit into the category of men. So if you don't have a reason for believing that they don't fit into these categories, why not just accept that they are those things?
I don't know. I mean, I think like it feels wrong. It feels wrong in some aspects. I guess in regards to like sports or in bathrooms. Like, do you think that it's okay like for trans women to be in women's bathrooms or in,
yeah? Why wouldn't it be?
You would say yes.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? If they are women, why would it be wrong for them to be in the women's bathroom?
Do you think that wouldn't undermine or make biological females uncomfortable in the bathroom?
It might make some of them uncomfortable, but right? Didn't it like
so?
Wait. Yes, the answer is so. Run a thought experiment with me real quick, Brandon. When we decided to desegregate bathrooms, right? Do you think there were a lot of white women that were uncomfortable that black women were now in their bathrooms?
I'd say probably yes.
Yeah, and what did we say? We said, "Oh well, suck it up." Right?
Is there any biological difference between a black female and a white female, aside from the melanin in their skin?
No, because race, like gender, is not a biological thing.
Okay, but there is a difference in the sexes of men and female. We can say that.
Sure. So you're saying bathrooms should be separated by sex, not by gender.
Yes.
Okay. So what happens when you have a trans man who looks exactly like me, who now has to go into the woman's bathroom? Do you think that's a better system?
That's a good argument. I think that it should be divided by sex.
We've never used sex as a bathroom. We have never, even if people are claiming we have never used sex as the bathroom guide, because we don't know somebody's sex when they go into a bathroom. We don't know what your sex actually is. I've never karyotyped someone before that. I don't pull someone's pants down. We just go based off what the person going into the bathroom believes about themselves. Otherwise, what are we going to do? If we're saying bathrooms must be split by sex, do we place bathroom security guards at the start of like the door for each bathroom? They have to do like genital checks. How do we in any practical way implement this into policy?
No, you can. There's no real good way to.
Also, what happens if we're saying bathrooms are sex? What happens if, like, I have a 3-year-old daughter, I have to take her to the bathroom? Which bathroom do I go into if there's no family bathroom available? If I take her into the women's bathroom, I'm breaking the law. If I take her into the men's bathroom, she's breaking the law.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But again, this is all operating under the premise that, like, trans women are not women. You're sticking with this. Now, I think you can make some arguments in the sports category if you're like, hey, I think there should be some level of transitioning done before you're allowed to compete at specific levels. I don't really care one way or another about sports. I want to see whoever's the top competitor versus the top competitor. I don't care who those are. Like, I don't care if those are men. I don't care if there's women. I don't really care. But, like, again, you're coming at it from a place where you don't really have a reason to believe that trans women aren't women. You've just been told for a long time that they're not. So you're buried deep into this feeling without like understanding any level of bias that you might have in the conversation.
Yeah, I gotta look into this a bit more, I guess, but I guess for now I can just I just don't agree with it, I guess it's the way that.
But Brandon, so here's my issue. I don't like agree to disagree, right? It seems lazy in a conversation when we go, well, let's just agree to disagree. You're saying I don't agree, but you don't have any arguments for why you don't agree. It's just, I don't agree because I don't agree. That just seems like poor reasoning, in my opinion.
Well, I guess in my personal experiences with trans people, it's always been like, I wouldn't let this person. I don't think I would be just comfortable. For example, either trans woman or trans man. Like, I wouldn't be comfortable with this person, like, either doing the sports or in the bathrooms. Like, all these things that we bring up when it comes to viewing trans people, like what is it okay for them to do? Like, I don't know. I just don't agree.
Why are you?
I don't know. It makes you a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
okay, but see, wait, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Hold on, Brandon. This is what's happening. Back in the 80s and 90s, people used to hate gay people, and when you would ask them why, primary answer they would give is it's gross. We don't treat people that way just because you might think something's quote unquote yucky, right? Without a solid grounding of reasoning why, you're just admitting that you are using the way you feel over any sort of facts, over any sort of logic. You would prefer to stay in the I feel camp, which I guess is fine if you're admitting that you do a feelings over facts mindset. But I feel like you would, as a person, and maybe I'm wrong on this, Brandon, but correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you as a person probably don't want to live in a world in which you operate under a feelings over facts mindset.
That would be ideal. Just put this out there. I don't hate or dislike, I don't hate or think that any people of the LGBTQ are undeserving of love. Like, every person deserves love and respect, regardless of their gender identity, regardless of their sexuality. It's we need treating people with these basic respect is true. I believe that. It becomes a little bit difficult when we get into these complex social questions about should we allow these people in our bathrooms or playing our sports. It gets difficult because I don't want to exclude these people. Like you said, for example, if someone looks like you and was a trans person, to allow them into the bathroom. Like, normal people, the people, I guess it's the people that can that have ill intentions, I suppose, or I don't know.
Brandon, when it comes to trans people and it comes to bathrooms, trans people aren't the ones doing any sort of wrong. They go in the bathroom to pee. Like, there's no evidence of any statistically significant kind that shows that trans people, and I assume you mean trans women, not trans men, because it's all you seem to be talking about, but there's no statistically significant evidence to show us that trans women are a threat in bathrooms.
Okay, well, there's not any evidence for that then. But I guess I suppose I may stand corrected.
But this is what I'm saying.
But
You are engaging in a very clear-cut level of bias here that I'm trying to see if we can't undercut. If it's not something that can be undercut today, I get it. It's hard to change your opinion when it's so deeply ingrained. But, like, this isn't meant to come off as an insult, so I hope you don't take it that way. The way you're engaging with trans people is very similar to the way that, like, racists engage with black people. They have these conceited beliefs that aren't beliefs based in any evidence-based reality. They're just beliefs that they hold. And you can say, well, I don't hate anyone or dislike anyone. I respect everybody. But it's not respect to tell these people that you don't think they are who they are, that you don't think they should be allowed to use the bathroom that they want to use, that you don't like you think that they're a danger. Like, that's not respect.
all right, you brought up a good point. I need to look more into it because I honestly came very unprepared. It was more, I guess, feelings and my general thoughts on this entire topic. But yeah, I appreciate your perspective, my friend. I haven't really researched this a whole lot. This is just shit that I've heard. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Jovan.
All right, Jovan. I don't mean to cut it short, but I mean, I don't really have much else to talk or debate about, but I appreciate your time and letting me come on here and talk for a bit.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, man. Have a good rest of your day, sir.
You too. Hopefully he learns. Hopefully he grows. If you enjoy the stream, consider liking the YouTube live. Consider, supporting the stream. Just a reminder, if you want to support, I do have my Cash App and Venmo on the screen. YouTube Super Chats are also a great way to support. We also have our toy drive, link in bio for the holiday toy drive this year. We already got a bunch of stuff. I have a crate full of toys in my closet. So we're trying to get as many toys for the kids as we can. So if you can support the holiday toy drive, consider supporting. Shout out to Ashley. Thank you for the super chat and for becoming a tier 2 member on YouTube. So thank you for fighting for people like me. Your debates cheer me up every day. I'm glad. So yeah, consider. Give me like 2 seconds. I just have to take this vacuum thing out into the other room. And then I will be right back. Right back. Come on. And then we'll let up the next caller after I do that. Give me 1 second. Okay. I am freaking getting sick, man. This sucks. Okay, we're going to bring the next person. We're going to bring in the next person. The next person up on the line is going to be bringing up Jay. Jay wants to talk about word salad in regards to trans issues. So let's see what Jay has to say. Hello, Jay. Are you here to debate?
Jovan, how are you?
I'm chilling.
Did I say your name right?
No, but it's fine.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, Jay, can I get your name or can I get your age and pronouns, please?
38, and I don't know about pronouns.
You don't know about pronouns?
I don't actually.
Okay, so pronouns, when we ask
What
for
exactly are you
pronouns,
asking?
yeah, I'm asking for what third-person pronouns you prefer to be called when people address you. Do you prefer to be called he? Do you prefer to be called she? Do you prefer to be called they, it?
Oh,
What do you prefer
that's
people
a
call you
weird
when they refer to you?
question.
Is it?
I kind of think that's a weird question.
What's
I don't
weird
know.
about it?
They call me by my name, actually.
Okay, so we use pronouns
If
in
somebody,
place of the noun. So like sometimes referring to you by name over and
Mister,
over it again sounds weird. Mister is not a pronoun.
yeah,
So for instance,
okay.
Jay, if I were to call you she over and over and over again, would that be annoying to you?
No, I would just tell you my name.
Yeah, but if I
Like, you
said,
gotta call
okay,
me by my
this
name.
is Jay, she is going to the store tomorrow. She had a fun time at the store. She bought a lot of
Okay.
stuff. That would get a little annoying, right?
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, not annoying, but it would be kind of inaccurate.
Okay, so then you do have pronouns you prefer to be called. What would those be?
I don't know if preferred. You're asking me the question, it would be a he if you're
Yeah.
asking me, but I don't prefer any of it.
Well, no,
It's
you
usually my
do because
name,
you just
so I'm
wait.
communicating.
You just said that if they called you the other one, it would be a little inaccurate. You do prefer he. It's okay. It's not a bad thing to have pronouns you prefer to be
Okay.
called. We all do. What topic, Jay, are
Okay.
you calling? I know you said topic one. You're trying to talk about what you said was word salad. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay. First, I just want to kind of elaborate what you just mentioned just now about me saying it's inaccurate. It doesn't mean I prefer it because inaccurate. Something can be wrong and me not agree or prefer or dislike or like. It's just
Okay, then
not
you are
accurate.
okay if
And
people were to call you she and her.
yeah,
Even if it's wrong, you're okay with them calling you that. You have
okay.
no issues with that.
I mean, yeah, they can because that's their right to do it. I mean, it can still be wrong if they're saying it that way. And if
Okay.
someone corrects you and now you continue to do it, I think I would stop talking to that person because now I think they might be doing it on purpose.
Okay, so you do
If I
prefer that they
correct
use
you
the
and then
pronouns
you
that are
kind of,
accurate for you. You do prefer that. That is a preference.
I just like things to know correctly.
Yeah, you're just Jay,
I get you.
you're
Yep,
describing
yep.
a preference.
I got you. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so yeah, then I guess it would be.
Okay. No problem.
All right, and I actually think topics 1, 2, and 3 all have something. They're all connected.
Okay, you can pick whichever one of those topics you want to talk about and lay me with a thesis if you want.
Okay, well it's well first of all it's male, female, man, woman. I think it's all the same.
You think it's all the same?
A lot of well, yeah, I heard you talking to Brandon on the last one, and it kind of was like telling him about the term he was using. I feel you needed some more substantiation with things, and some of the stuff you're hearing with the trans is all about their feelings. It's not about things that are what they are, right? Like so there are different things that people with penises and people with vaginas do.
So
Period.
an
Like
issue with
traits.
what you're saying right there is when we're
Mhm.
talking about what makes someone trans or we're talking about gender identity or things like that, those aren't based in feelings. Those are based in like neurological and biological fact. Like our brains have gender identity. That's a biological fact about our brains. Our brains have a way that they subjectively look at our sex. That's a objective fact about our brains' biology. Our brains just do this. This is all documented. It's in neuroscience. In fact, the reason I quote most of this is from a neuroscience textbook. Now, that doesn't mean that like that thing isn't then subjective to the person. But like there's a difference between that and someone saying, I believe X because I believe X thing is a fact about the universe just because I think that way with no evidence behind that. So it would just be a little bit of a false dichotomy you're labeling there.
Well, I mean, I can get a bunch of concussions and then my mind can change, or I can start thinking I'm different.
Great.
But
I don't really see
prior
what the
to that,
relevance
the concussions is what could have. The
I don't-
concussions is what could have caused my brain to change, and now I think something different.
Great.
All right?
I
mean,
don't
so,
see
so,
what the relevance
so
to
when we
that to what
use,
we've been talking about is.
okay, like first, some of the stuff comes you're saying that there is scientific proof that someone can be different than what they actually are.
Well, one,
Now,
you and I, you're making a lot of presuppositions in that sentence, right? Because I believe what a person really is
I'm
in
a little
terms
slow.
of gender.
I'm a little slow, so some of these words I don't understand you using. Kind of maybe
Okay,
dumb it
I'll
down for me.
sure, no
I'm
problem.
being honest.
What you're doing is you are coming into the conversation with preconceived notions. So you're labeling something as truth that me and you have a fundamental disagreement on. So we have to argue about those fundamental disagreements before we can then move on to this next part. Like you're saying that they're saying there's something they're not. I disagree with you on this.
Okay.
So we have to have that conversation before we can have a conversation based on the premise that they believe there's something they're not. Because I don't think they do believe that they are something they're not.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so when people talk about like biology isn't a part of it and your chromosomes don't matter, isn't that what makes us who we are in our sex?
It makes us our chromosomes can make us our genotypic sex. So it makes us a sex based on like it makes us our sex based on our chromosomes, our genotype, it's our genes. There's also phenotypic sex, which is our sex based on primary and secondary sex characteristics. But this isn't gender. So when a trans person,
I don't know all of this. Okay, so once again, like I said earlier, I'm a little slow. All right, so I know, like I'm saying something. I'm not trying to be funny or try to offend anybody. I'm just trying to get my feelings across.
I got you. I got you.
All of these other things you're breaking down, for me, we're talking about sex.
No problem.
It's just penis, vagina.
Okay,
right?
so let me explain to you in biology. In biology, we do not label sex by penis and vagina. So penises and vaginas, they are not considered sex determinant traits. What that means is that penises and vaginas do not tell us what sex you are. They are just a byproduct of what sex you are. So whatever your sex is can result in a penis or vagina. Sure.
Because I think, once again, like I said, with the word salad, I think you're doing it. You're saying like the okay. So
hold on. I'm sorry. I have to stop you there for a second. Jay, hold on. Jay, I have to stop you there. It's not word salad. You've just admitted that you don't know the words I'm using. Wait, no, you've openly admitted I'm using words that are very common in biology. That's not a word salad. It's you've admitted that the words are too complex for you to understand. So that's not word salad.
Let me explain what I mean. So let me explain what I mean when I say word salad. Okay, what I meant is XX and XY. What are those? Which one is male and which one is female?
Typically, XX would be female and XY
because the chromosomes determine, right?
Your chromosomes can determine your genotypic sex. Yes.
Okay. Genotypic. See all these different. Like, okay, this is where maybe I need more information.
But that's why I'm trying to explain it to you, but you're claiming I'm using word salad when I'm just trying to explain to you these fairly simple biological concepts, right? So genotypic sex is your chromosomal makeup. Phenotypic sex is your primary and secondary sexual characteristics. So your phenotypic sex is going to be things like genitals, internal sexual reproductive organs, gonads, hormone production. Those are phenotypic sexual traits, whereas chromosomes are genotypic sexual traits.
Don't they go hand in hand?
Sometimes, yes.
Like when you have, like when you, like, you know, I mentioned earlier, it's always talking about trans women and not like trans men, right? It's the opposite. I think because there is things that are going on, which one thing is focused more than the other. Like
your secondary and primary sex characteristics. Your primary and secondary sex characteristics.
Because they're the same.
Hold on, no.
Some of that is tied.
Hold on, Jay.
Like having a penis and having hormones. Okay.
Your primary and secondary sex characteristics are typically based off of whether or not there's this gene called the SRY gene. It's a gene used in sexual reproduction. This gene typically will express itself on the second chromosome. And that expression of that gene determines whether you develop male phenotypic characteristics or female phenotypic characteristics. Now, this gene, the SRY gene...
That's who you live around. That's who you grew up with. I mean, see, these things, as I started to get a little bit older, all the stuff started coming about. All these words, they started trying to change and switch. When I know girls growing up, she was a little tough hanging with us, playing the sports, but she was a girl, and she understood that. There was no confusion in what she was doing. And a certain period of time, they started interjecting all of these words, and now all of a sudden, all of these young kids seem to be getting confused about who they really are, when there is no confusion.
Jay, I am describing to you the science behind sexual development, not anything to do.
No, just using words is not explaining, because listen, science is, you can bend it a little bit, like some people are doing, just like law, right? You can turn the terms of things and switch things around. Some of the stuff you're saying to me are all the same. Like you said, the two different with Gino and the other words you use, to me, a trait of something can be changed, right? I can live in a certain environment and be a certain person, and my trait can change based on where I'm living. Like they say certain stereotypes about brown people, certain stereotypes about white people. But I know brown people are total opposite of those stereotypes based on where they're coming from. The group might be in that stereotype, but someone lives in a different area can totally be different based on where they're living at.
Okay.
Some of that is not being addressed.
Jay, I have to go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have to go. I have to go down an even further level. So the reason why we separate genotypic and phenotypic sex is because your genes, your chromosomes, XX or XY, okay? Yeah, hold on. Oh, she's a hair in my mouth. So your chromosomes, your chromosomes,
get that
XX
water, get it out.
or XY. I just pulled it out. XX or XY don't necessarily determine what your phenotypic sex will be. So if your chromosomes are XY and you have an expressed SRY gene that happens on the Y chromosome, then you may develop male phenotypic sex features. So penises, testicles, increased testosterone, sperm production, that will happen. If your chromosomes are... Hold on, Jay. If your chromosomes are XX...
These are questions from my understanding.
Okay, what's the question?
No. So like, how rare... Are we talking about rarities, things that are rare to what the norm is? Because, like, how many XXs have, like... That's the male, right? XX?
XX is the female chromosome pattern.
The female. Okay, so how many XXs have penises? And how many XYs have vaginas?
I don't know the number.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying it's
you're
the
missing
norm for the XX to have a... No, I'm not missing, because this is what I think maybe you're not hearing.
Jay, the frequency of something happening doesn't matter. The frequency of it doesn't matter. It is still a way that humans develop sexually. So it doesn't really matter what the frequency of it is.
That makes... So then rare or normal wouldn't matter, right? Something rare.
We don't use the term normal in science. We don't use the term normal in science because normal is decreeing some level of like social rightness or acceptance. We use the term typically, which is a term I've been using. We use the term typically to show that this is how something tends to happen. No, typically just means this is how it tends.
Isn't that a synonym?
No. Not in science.
That means normal, right?
No, we do not. We don't use normative language in science. It's just not a way that we describe things.
Okay, I got you. But that's if we're just speaking right now, it's the same thing, though, right? typically
No.
normal, it's like the same. Because they use
No,
rare.
I'm explaining
right?
to you
Like,
how it's not the same thing.
They use the word rare, though, right?
They can use the word
Isn't
rare
that the
occasionally,
opposite
yes.
That's the opposite of like normal, isn't it?
No.
If something's rare, it's not normal.
No, normal,
Okay.
when we use normative
Wow.
language, when we say things like normal, we're implying some level of like, this is how it's supposed to or how it should be. That's not the case with science. Biology does not have a supposed to. It does not have a should be. Science just is. Biology just is.
Yes, so that's what I mean. Okay, so maybe I need to explain it better. When I said XXs have what they're supposed to have, that's what I mean. Like, that's what it usually is. But if someone has both or switch, that will be something that's rare. Something doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, it is atypical. It doesn't tend to be the way we see this expressed, but it still can happen, which is why we don't use absolute terms in science. So when we're talking about science and we're talking about biology, and I'm explaining how chromosomes work and how human sexual development works, we would use the phrase typically because there is no 100% to these things. There are always going to be variations, and science doesn't set hard set rules on things. It recognizes that, like, you can't just say someone with XY chromosomes is a man because there are women who have XY chromosomes. So you can't just make that claim because this would be an inaccurate scientific claim.
XY, what do you mean exactly?
There are women
with XY.
There are women
like
who have pure.
That looks.
There are women who have conditions that make it so instead of having XX chromosomes, their karyotyping is XY. They have an XY 46 karyotype. Some of them have pure 46XY karyotype.
Okay, so what does that look like? What does it look like? Does it mean she has hair on her? What does that look like? What you're saying?
Hair on what? Hair on what?
Okay. All right.
I don't understand the hair question.
I'm saying, how many times? Okay, like chromosomes. Don't chromosomes determine whether a person has a penis or a vagina?
No, the SRY
Right?
no, the SRY gene would go into determining whether you have a penis or vagina.
Okay, so once again, I go back to the question that you didn't really answer for me. XX, how many of those have the opposite when they're born? Meaning,
I don't know the frequency.
Born, yeah, this chromosomes.
I don't know the frequency. I don't know what it matters though.
This is something. Okay, but see, this is where you kind of, as I'm hearing and listening to some of this, this is where I get it. You have a lot of scientific answers that go the other way, but when questions that ask the other way, it's like, oh, I don't know.
Well, because your question doesn't have any relevance, Jay. It does not. Jay, your question has no relevance. It has no relevance.
I think it does.
No, it doesn't. The frequency of something, frequency of something happening does not matter in science. If it is the case that it happens even once, then you cannot make an absolute statement.
I get it, and my statement isn't totally absolute. I'm just, once again, me using the word normal, all right, or using the word rare is saying already something rare means it goes the opposite, so it can't be 100%. Rare automatically means that it's not always that way. Otherwise, it would be no rare, right? It would be no something that's different. All right, so I just experienced something with one of my family members who, I have an issue, and the doctor explained to us, wow, this literally is 30 years of being a doctor. This happened like twice. Now, I'm not saying, once again, you can't say that that's not what it is, but it's not something that's normal, right? It's not something that is with most people who come. It's 30 years of this doctor experience. This medical event that happened was something that was extremely rare. 2 times he's seen it, and even in his medical teaching, they talk about it happening very rare. Like, he probably wouldn't have seen it in his career, most doctors. All right? So this is what I'm talking about with this thing that's going on here. It's something that's normal, but the rare thing, we're trying to make people think that that's normal.
Jay,
that's
what do you, Jay,
that's what I meant earlier.
Jay, what do you think a woman is?
a woman is a female person.
Okay. And what is a female?
A female is a person with a vagina that can bear kids.
Okay. And what about the litany of females that don't have vaginas and can bear kids? What are they?
Once again, I asked that question. You didn't ask me how many people with that chromosome don't
Jay,
have vaginas.
you made an absolute statement.
So
You said a
how
woman
many?
is someone that has a vagina and can have kids. You didn't say typically. You said they
Correct.
are that thing.
Correct.
There are people who are
Correct.
born female who do not have vaginas because they may have
And that'll be
vaginal
the
agenesis,
reality.
who cannot.
There's
Jay.
some people. There's
So
some
they
people that's born
break.
with a penis
So
and a
Jay,
vagina. We say that's normal.
nobody. That
Jovan,
doesn't really happen. That doesn't really happen.
we say
So
that's normal.
Jay,
What?
you don't understand even what you're arguing at this point.
Nah, yeah, I do.
You don't.
I do, actually.
You don't.
Yeah, I do. And some questions you're not answering, what questions you're answering certain questions.
Jay, the
I'm-
only
like,
question.
you
Wait, first
just
of all,
asked me.
I've answered every question you've asked. I said I don't know the frequency of
No,
this.
you haven't.
I've answered that question.
Well,
you
you
said
answered
what
it,
is
right?
the? Yes, I did. You said
It's
what
not
is
the
the
same
frequency?
thing,
I
though.
said I don't know. That is an answer. I don't know what the frequency of this is. But I'm going to slow this
Okay,
down for you even more, Jay.
okay, but-
You admitted at the Jay, stop. You admitted at the start of this conversation that you don't understand
an
these things.
answer, but you
Jay,
didn't
stop.
answer my question.
Jay, stop. Jay, stop.
Jovan.
Jay, stop. You admitted
Okay,
at the
but
start of
that's
this
the word salad
conversation,
I'm talking
Jay,
about.
Jesus Christ,
Right?
that's not what word salad is. You admitted at the start of this conversation, Jay,
Yeah, you
that
answered a question, not my question.
Jay, okay, you're gonna go on mute so I can explain this. Okay, so you're gonna be muted so I can get this out because impulse control is now very hard for you for some reason. When you are making an absolute statement that women are female and that females have vaginas and can give birth, you are making a statement that would have to have zero exceptions. There can't be any exceptions here. Yet we know there are people that are exceptions to that rule. So therefore, your definition of what a woman is falls apart because there are exceptions to your rule. You cannot have an exclusionary category that has exceptions. So I'm going to ask the question again, Jay. What is a woman, to see if you can provide me an answer that doesn't have exceptions? Now you may answer the question.
Oh, okay. I just want to say once again, everything has exceptions.
Jay, no, that's
everything
not
has
true.
exceptions.
This is untrue.
Okay, it is true.
No, it's not.
It is true. Things that we know to be definitive still have exceptions. To
No,
it.
they don't.
It
Otherwise, they
doesn't
wouldn't
mean
be
that it's not
definitive.
what it is.
Nope. If they had exceptions, they're not definitive. You're making you're putting a necessary condition on a category and then claiming that, well, it's necessary, but not actually. That's not how that works, Jay. That's not how that's classified in science. That's not how we classify those things in any like social classification way. It's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a road and I say, in order to drive on this road, it is absolutely necessary that you drive a red car. Absolutely necessary. And then I let somebody on the road with a blue car. Was it necessary to have a red car to drive on this road?
That blue car broke the rule and went on the road. You need steps to stop the blue
No.
car from
If
going
I
on.
let
You can make
them
a
on the
defense.
road, Jay, if I let them on the road, they didn't break a rule.
Well, why would you let them on the road if you want only red cars to be on the road? Why would you let the car on the road?
Jay,
Right?
this is what you have done. You have claimed that in order to be a woman, woman is the road. You must have a vagina, so only cars with vaginas, and giving birth, only cars that give birth. But now you're saying that there are some women who can't do that you would still let on the road, Jay. So you tell me
No,
why
I'm
you
not
would
letting
make an
them on the road.
exception.
You
So
letting them on the road.
then a woman without a
Okay, so
vagina,
let
Jay,
me
what
ask
are
you
they?
this.
If I have somebody who doesn't have a vagina, they have like vaginal agenesis, so a vagina never develops for them.
Okay, so
what are they?
Okay, look, all right, I got you. I'm lost with some of the stuff you're saying. Let me ask you this.
Jesus
Maybe
Christ.
you can get me back because I'm a little slower. All right. So right. Why is that? And this is something that we all see has been going on. Let's talk about the sports part. It's not one of your topics, but it's going to connect.
What? No,
Right?
no, we're not moving
Why
topics, Jay.
is
We're
there
not, Jay. We're not
is
moving
it-
topics.
No, we're not.
We are.
No, no,
That's quite
we're not
literally moving the
topic.
topic. You are pivoting to something else.
Okay, but it's no. I'm not going to pivot. Excuse me, let me say I'm not going to. I'm not going to pivot. All right. Why is it a definite difference when you have the trans women that are playing with the women in the sport? Is a total difference. It's a difference. Period. With a man and a woman. Literally, their strength, their movement is a difference. Literally, why would there be a difference if there aren't?
So this is still not on topic.
Right? Like I can change how I feel on the outside and how I look, but there's a specific thing to it.
This is not on topic.
Right? That wouldn't be a case. Why is not?
I don't know where the topic is, but it's definitely not here.
I'm talking about there being definitives in the two, in the male and the female.
There aren't definitives. If there are definitives, how come there are trans men who beat cisgender men in sports? Where's the definitive?
Where? How? Where? Please show me.
Patricio Manuel is 3-1. Because last time I checked, Patricio Manuel, he's a trans man. He's a trans man. He was born a female. He transitioned. He's 3-1. He beat 3 cisgender men who were born male in boxing. He beat them.
What sport we're talking about?
Boxing. He won.
Boxing.
He won.
I mean, more
he beat them.
In what? Okay. All right. I looked that up. Okay, I got you. Then that would be a rarity. Most what we're seeing is the men becoming women, and they weren't really good in their sport as a man. They became a woman, and now
we haven't seen that anywhere. We haven't seen that anywhere.
What?
Yes, we have not. We have not. We haven't seen that. No, we haven't.
Okay, the example you just gave is the first time I heard that. I heard the other way a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the other way. I'm sure you have heard the other way. No, you don't.
I know. Name me a person.
Name me a person. Name me a person.
There's a league.
Name me the person. Name me the athlete.
Where I live.
I don't care about where you live. I don't care about league. There's a league. There's a league where I live where 70 trans women have all competed and they've lost every competition. So I don't really care what you've heard. Who cares what you've heard?
Yeah.
You need to have actual evidence. What I see or what I heard is not evidence.
Because I don't know doesn't mean it ain't there. Trust me. People that listen
it does. But anyway, we're going to move on. This is going nowhere. And like I said, it's a complete pivot from what the original conversation was. And I don't want to do a pivot right now. Shout out to Mick. Shout out to Mick on the YouTube for wanting us to move on. Said, boo, please. He doesn't know what he's talking about and it's painful. I agree. Just insane. Selkirk said, this is exactly what's wrong with our country. This fool has no education, knows nothing about the topic, and yet continually argues like he does. Dunning-Kruger on full display. It's quite literally Dunning-Kruger. If you're going to admit to me at the start of the conversation, hey, I don't really know any of this stuff, why keep debating like you're coming from some level of authority? I just don't understand the point of that. You admitted you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God. This sinus infection is going to kick my fucking ass, bro. Anyway, it's just so pointless to me, dude. You don't even know what the word phenotype is. Okay, we're going to bring up the next person. Next up on the show, we have Mason. Mason wants to debate gender affirming care for minors. Mason, hello, are you there?
Yeah, hello. I'm here.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
No problem. Mason, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
26, he, him.
Okay. And you want to debate gender affirming care for minors. Is that correct, Mason?
Yes, potentially. It depends on where your stance truly is with it, because there's a large sliding scale there.
Okay. Go ahead.
So basically, I think that, like, prepubescent and I forget the word, but the word that means that they're going through puberty, like, actively, should not be getting hormonal or, like, surgical changes. Like, there should not be major physical changes made to the body at that point. Just because that can end up causing lasting issues for somebody who might be experiencing gender dysphoria, and that can go backwards. Like, you know.
Okay, hold on.
People can believe one thing and then change.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Just so that we're aware. You don't think that people who are trans, that youth who are trans, should be allowed any sort of gender affirming medical care. Is that what you're saying?
Not without counsel of their guardian.
Okay, well that's the standard.
I should say
that's the
like
standard
the
for
hormonal and surgical. But.
So as long as they have parental permission, you agree that they should be able to get access to these things.
Yes.
Okay, that's the standard
personally,
for.
I think it's still a bad idea, and for like mine, but
I mean that's fine, but that's the standard. That's the standard for. Just that's the standard for all medical care for anybody under the age of like 15 in the U.S. Like they have to go through their parents.
Under the I know that in Kentucky that's not the case.
In Kentucky,
I don't know about elsewhere. I've not researched
in Kentucky, prepubescent children can make medical decisions without their parents?
Yes. Like, to put it in perspective, back when I was 11 at the time, I got prescribed with ADHD meds long before my parents knew about it. I then ended up overdosing on it because of this, and it was a big deal. But, yeah, it was a whole fiasco.
So Kentucky's revised statute, Title XV 111 for public health says any physician upon and this was revised. This is current as of January 1st, 2024. Any physician upon consultation by a minor as a patient with the consent of such minor may make a diagnostic examination for venereal disease, pregnancy, or substance use disorder, and may advise, prescribe for, and treat such minor regarding venereal disease, substance use disorder, contraception, pregnancy, or childbirth without consent or notification of the parent. So it's just those things. The section does not include abortion or sterilization. Those must be done with a parent. So it's just about treating venereal diseases, substance use disorders, contraception, or pregnancy or childbirth. Those things can be done without a parent.
That I can get behind.
Yeah,
like I said, I've not been around it. I'm not super well educated.
Yeah, everything else they would need their parents or guardians' consent.
To quote the guy before me, I have heard of people getting a lot of things done without their parents being all right with it, and it leads down to some dark roads a lot of the time.
I think there is something to be said about parents who don't know enough about gender affirming care blocking it for their children because they are unaware of the actual effects and the actual benefits to it. I think there is something to be said about if a kid is hyper suicidal and being admitted into fucking inpatient care because they're a threat to their own safety, and knowing that if they went through this one treatment, they may be alleviated from that, but the parents are refusing. I think you would have a case to present this in front of a judge to allow a doctor to take medical proxy in that case. But for the most part, most decisions are going to be made with the parents because that's just the law.
Okay. Like, as long as, like, parents are consulted, then honestly, I'm fine with it. I personally disagree with most of the care, based on some stats on just people having regrets of it at a young age. But people regret most of the things they do as kids.
I mean, the
like,
regret rate
parents
of gender affirming care for youth sits at like 1%. So like most people who get gender affirming care when they're young don't actually regret it.
I could have sworn it was not that.
Nope, it is. I can give you.
I
An
could be
exact study
misinformed. Like I said, like this is not a topic I go into a lot, so it's not
yeah.
like
If you'd like a study, I can give you one.
You know,
so that you have it.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second to pull it up. So this study is called Re-Identification with Birth Registered Sex in a Western Australian Pediatric Gender Clinic Cohort. And what it found that everybody that went in and got like referred to a gender clinic and were transitioning, 93.1% of all the people who transitioned, which was only hold on, let me pull up the actual percentage of people that transitioned.
And is that of people who fully transition, or because I know some of the studies do gender affirming care as a blanket statement?
So there were 4.8% of people detransitioned prior to of the whole population. 4.8% detransitioned. Okay. Prior to receiving any sort of medical affirming care, and only 1% of people detransitioned after receiving like medical hormones or puberty blockers. So typically what we see is when they are
honestly not bad.
Yeah, so typically what we see is it's not like detransition is not really happening in the way that that it's being claimed that it is.
Well, is it so? This is me just completely in my head. I don't know anything about it, but is it people are only detransitioning at such a low percentage because of they're not necessarily wanting to detransition, or is it the case of it's risky, difficult, expensive?
So
name
so
a million
typically
reasons why people don't transition.
The biggest reason for detransition is cost and societal acceptance and like familial acceptance. There are people who detransition because they realize that either A, it's just not for them, or they may have a different realization about what their gender identity actually is and go, oh, I don't think I'm actually a woman. I want to detransition. Those people do exist. They are the minority in this case. Most people who receive gender affirming medical care, for instance, like there was a study that looked at 27 different peer-reviewed studies. It was like a meta-analysis, and it looked at total regret for surgeries, and the total regret for like gender affirming surgeries was at like 1%. So the people who do go like through their full transition, going all the way through like surgical transition, tend to have a very low level of regret rate. That doesn't mean that there aren't people that do regret and detransition for other reasons. It's a very low percentage of people. Most people detransition before they receive any medical treatment.
Okay. Like, keep in mind, I'm from the middle of like nowhere, Kentucky, so my sources are limited to say the least.
Okay, no problem.
But also, this is a bit of a topic change since it sounds like I more or less agree with you on it then, but they're good to have it. If you're all right with the topic change, I'm not trying to like jump around on you.
As long as it's a topic on the board, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually one that I heard you talking about earlier that kind of came up. You were talking about the bathrooms thing. Like for trans people going into the different bathrooms and stuff.
Yeah. What about it?
This is a personal experience thing. The issue is not with trans people. It's with people who are not trans trying to claim to be trans, and then that causing issues. So it's the issue of policing it is the hardest problem with it.
Well, so the problem is it's that most people that go into a bathroom to commit assault, which is low to begin with, most assault happens in and or around the home by somebody you know. The problem with this claim as well that says that like there's really not many people that are dressing up. Like if somebody wants to assault someone, it's not the case that they're going to like dress up as a woman, go into the bathroom, hope that you're alone in the bathroom, and then try to assault you, right? And a second issue we have is let's say we go with what the conservative right is pushing for. We say, okay, we want to make sure people don't get assaulted, so we are going to make sure that you can only go into the bathroom by sex. Well, now what's going to happen is you might have somebody that looks exactly like me or very similar to me who's a trans man, who is born female, but because they've gone through gender affirming care and gender affirming surgery on the medical level, they now look indistinguishable from a cisgender man, and they're going into the bathroom. Now, men don't even have to dress up in dresses. All they have to do is claim that they're trans men to go into the bathroom. So even if we are operating under the idea that there are cisgender men who are willing to disguise themselves to go assault women, right? That this is like some big issue. Well, now you've just made it a lot easier for them. They don't even have to put on a disguise anymore.
This is one of the things I know from experience. I got in a fight with a couple of guys because when it first started, my dad, who is that very far right leaning person you're thinking about, like think military redneck, like I was raised to hate Muslims. Like it was a wild ride. He pretty much explained to me that nobody who looks like a dude's allowed to go into the female bathroom if I'm around. So I got in fights over it. Now, looking back and knowing what I know now, I ended up getting in a couple of fights with guys who were not needing to go into the female bathroom. They were wanting to go in there to maybe not actually assault anybody, but just to like be a problem. And that is not okay.
Sure, but this has nothing to do with trans
to be fair,
women.
that's like in a high school and when things were first starting off and like people are, especially in high school, people are pricks, but like that is the concern.
Yeah, but your concern is not with trans women. Your concern would be with cisgender men.
No. Absolutely.
So policing
100%.
the way. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Policing the way trans women use a bathroom then does not accomplish your goal of stopping cis men from being weirdos.
Right. My thing is that's where the issue comes in and why everybody gets all in a bunch over it just because they see the cis men doing it. And that makes it a difficult thing to police, which is why it's harder to have that.
Yeah, I think
I'm saying that's why this
it would be so much harder to police it the other way. It'd be way harder to police it the other way.
Like personally, my best bet is, as people look. But like you said, kind of hard to make that work because you never know. But yeah, like those were my main points on everything you had going on.
Okay.
I think that your third point is an oxymoron in itself. Something can't both not exist and be evil. But then again, like,
let me ask you a real question real quick.
I get
let me
what
ask you
you're
a
going
question.
at for it.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. You've seen Star Wars, right?
Some of them. I don't get much time to watch much of anything.
Have you seen any okay, you haven't seen Star Wars. What about Harry Potter? You seen Harry Potter?
Yes, I've read those.
Okay. Is Voldemort evil?
Depends on definition, but to entertain it, I'll say yes.
Okay, but he's not real.
he is within that world.
There you go. Same thing as point 3. I don't believe the Christian God is real, but I don't believe the Christian God is real because I believe the Bible is a made-up fictional book, and because of this, I would say that in the world of the Bible, he is evil. In the world that book sets up, he would be evil.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Well, I have to say I disagree with both of those points then.
Okay.
But I also don't think that there is a good and evil. So it's kind of like, to put it in perspective, everybody is going to say that they are good from whatever perspective they're coming from. And
sure,
with that means that good and evil itself cannot exist outside of perspective.
Sure, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree.
So because of that, I think that saying that any person or thing is good or evil is more accurately just saying that you disagree with the beliefs or morals or ethics or whatever the thing is of that thing. And now I will say I disagree with what most of the modern Christian church does or acts as, but I'm Christian and I obviously believe I'm good apart. I'm good. Now, does that mean that everybody who says they're a Christian is good? No. I think that the true Christians are. I just don't think there's many of them around. So
okay.
That's why I get into the whole I disagree that God is evil, and I also obviously think that he's real.
Okay.
And yeah, I should say I voted for Trump. At this point, I regret it. Whoops. But
all right, well, that's something, I guess.
that's about the best I can give you on what you got.
All right, no problem.
I wish you luck with the rest of your chats, man.
All right, well, thanks for calling in.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Ugh. Dude, it's building the more and more that I sit here all day. I can feel the fucking snot building in my sheenuses. So much fun. Hey guys, remember our holiday toy drive is currently going on. We are collecting toy donations for the kiddies. If you want to support, here is a link in YouTube for the holiday toy drive. All you got to do is go and you can purchase some toys for the kids. We're going to give all these toys away like we did last year, so we're just doing the same thing. Are you going to support the toy drive? Let me know, yes or no. Twitch, let me give you a link as well. Although Nightbot should be telling you every 15 minutes about it, Twitch. What am I going to be for Halloween? Myself. I don't know. I don't really do costumes that much. So support the toy drive if you want to support low-income families and make sure that they have the ability to give their kids some presents for Christmas. People saying no are actual monsters. I mean, if you say no because you can't afford it, that's fine. All the toys on the list are under $25. There are some large ticket items if you want to get large ticket items. Those are going to be raffled away at our giveaway event. But if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. I'm not gonna fucking shame anybody that can't afford to buy the gifts, you know. So yeah. All right, let's keep this rolling. I haven't seen Nightbot dropping the link. I need to fucking just replace Nightbot with something else at this point. Maybe I'll spend the evening working on a different chatbot for stream. Yeah. Okay. Let's bring in the next caller. Yeah. Next up on the stream. Next up, we have Mark. Mark believes that I think gender identity equals sex. So let's see what Mark has to say about that. Hello, Mark. Are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
I am chilling, Mark. Can I get your age and pronouns, please?
24. I don't really have pronouns, but I guess if you gave me some, it'd just be he, him.
Okay. And Mark, you think that I'm conflating gender identity and sex? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if we agree or not. Your first statement says trans men and women, right?
Uh-huh.
Meaning gender identity.
Uh-huh.
Are men and women, which would be your sex, no?
No, men and women are not sex terms. They're gender terms. Male and female are the sex terms.
Oh, okay. So what you would be saying, okay. So it's a semantics thing with the first prompt.
What's well, it's a conversation about language, so it's inherently a semantical conversation.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
When I read that, I go, trans men and women. I go, I don't, involve myself with gender politics very often. But when I read that off the cuff, it sounds like you're saying gender identity is the same as sex.
Nope. That's why I use gender terms
Gotcha.
like man
So
and woman
not...
and not sex terms. It's like male and female.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of divergence in understanding for your average person because, nobody ever taught me that there was a massive difference between men and women and male and female. Those two terms seem pretty synonymous.
Well, we as a society have been using them differently since like the 20s. If not sooner. Sure. I believe that, but being that there's I got a little bit of Mandela effect there. I didn't really know there was a difference. Yep. Male and female would be speaking about characteristics of sexual reproduction. Man and woman would be social and cultural traits and behaviors.
Gotcha. Okay. So what are you saying in that first prompt then?
That men and women are social categories that we relay on people in society for meeting specific culturally determined traits, and that trans men and women meet those culturally determined traits. Therefore, they would be men and women.
Gotcha. And that's why you think they should be able to interchangeably go in each other's bathrooms?
Well, I think trans women should be able to go in the women's bathroom, and trans men should be able to go in the men's bathroom because they are women and men. And so because I think they are women and men, I think they should be allowed
let me
to
get
go
this
in the
straight.
men's
That
bathroom.
would mean that if you have a trans man in a woman's bathroom, you and I agree that that is a male in a female's bathroom.
No, I don't think you know what trans men means.
What do you mean?
Trans men would typically be female.
Yep. Trans men would typically be what?
Female.
Trans men would typically be female.
Yes.
Well, I thought female was a sex term, and I thought
Correct.
you said gender identity was separate from sex.
It is, yes.
Well, if it's separate from sex, then how are we identifying a trans man as a female and not as a woman?
Because people have both a gender identity and they have a sex. They have both. So that's why I said trans men
Right, they do have
can
both,
be
but
female.
His gender identity would be female, and his sex would be male.
His gender identity would be man.
Or his gender identity would be woman, and his
Also
sex
wrong.
would be female?
Nope. A trans man, their gender identity would be that of man.
No, that would be their sex.
Nope.
Well, do they have a penis and reproductive organs that of a male?
They may. You're doing the thing again where you're saying
make them
that
a biological male.
So
okay, you can transition and you can change things and you can change your hormones, but you can't change your sex.
Okay. I'm going to try to slow this down for you as simple as I can. A trans man would be someone whose gender identity is that of man, which would disalign with their sex, which would typically be that of female.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if they're in the female's bathroom, that's just a man in a bathroom. That is for girls.
Yes. Why would trans men go into the woman's bathroom? They're not women.
Because they look like a woman, right?
I mean, typically when I look at a trans man, they look more masculine.
Oh, sorry. I get so played by these semantics. Trans men. Yeah, gotcha. Woman transitioning to a man. Okay. Why would they go into the man's bathroom? Well, or the female's bathroom? Because they're female. I mean, okay, so we do agree, I think. I think it's just a crazy semantics game we got going on here.
What? No, you just are continuously conflating sex and gender.
No, I'm confusing the terms that separate sex and gender identity because they're so fucking similar.
The word male, I don't think is that similar to the word man, except for 2 letters.
Yeah.
And the word female isn't similar. The word female isn't similar to the word woman at all. They're 2 completely different words.
I know they sound different, but they both point to the same thing.
No, they don't. One points to reproduction.
So
the other does not.
Yeah. Right. But somebody who has characteristics of a man would likely also have the sex of a man.
Typically, they do.
Yeah. So
typically, people who are men
wouldn't that mean
are of the sex male. Typically, people who are women are of the sex female. But there are people who are men who are of the sex female, and there are people who are women who are of the sex male. Because those 2 things, sex and gender, are different. They can be linked. They have a connection with each other, but they are 2 separate things describing 2 separate things.
I'm saying quite the opposite.
Yes, I know, but what you're doing is you're conflating them, so I'm explaining where the conflation is coming from.
Yeah, but you're asking a weird question. You're like, where does, when you ask me, why would a trans man go into a female's bathroom? My brain goes, why would a man go into a female's bathroom?
So I've said, why would a trans man go into the woman's bathroom? Because I don't believe we operate with bathrooms under sex. We operate bathrooms under gender.
But don't you think it's confusing that when you're talking about a trans man, it's actually a woman that we're talking about?
No,
That can't get
I think we're
conflated easily at all?
I think we're talking about a man, hence why I say that trans men are men. So no, I don't think we're talking about a woman at all.
So if you're talking about a trans man who was a woman, it was identifying as a woman, right? And now they're identifying as a man, they still possess female reproductive organs.
They may.
And you're saying that they're male.
No.
Or are you just saying that they're a man?
I'm saying they're a man. I'm not using gender to mean sex.
Okay, gotcha. That's all I wanted to confirm there. Okay, so I think the problem lies in me using those two terms so interchangeably. Okay.
Yes,
So,
it would be a conflation to interchange the term sex
so let
and
me ask
gender
you,
because they
do
mean
you
two
think
different
it's
things.
wrong for like a trans man to go into a men's bathroom?
Nope, I think trans men typically would go into a men's bathroom because they're men.
Okay. You don't think it's wrong for a biological female to go into a male's bathroom or biological male to go into a female's bathroom?
No.
You don't think that's wrong?
No.
Why?
Why would it be?
Well, if I almost feel like it's an impersonation of sorts, Like if I impersonated a female to get into females' bathrooms with the veil that I'm a trans woman, don't you think that would be pretty malicious?
Good thing that's not happening.
Well, how do we know?
Because we have evidence. There's been
Well,
no widespread. There's been no widespread reports of people pretending to be women to like get into the woman's bathroom to do some sort of malicious act. We have a lot of reports on trans people going into the woman's bathroom to pee. What do you think their intent would be?
Well, I mean, the intent of any biological male. I mean, not any, but a lot of biological males are creeps and perverts and do terrible things to.
So you believe in
means and
you believe in the hash. You believe in hashtag all men.
I believe in what?
Hashtag all men. It's all men.
I don't know what that is.
It's all men. All men are
What is all men?
All men are predators. All men are perverts. All men are
no, I don't.
Sexual
I don't
deviants.
think that all men are predators. I reiterated my statement. I think that a lot of men are predators, and I think that it would be pretty wrong to send biological men into women's bathrooms, whether they dress up as a woman
so they
or
can
not.
Why? So because it's wrong to watch women like wash their hands, or what?
No, I just think that where men do their business and where women do their business should be separate.
Why?
Well, I mean, why are women's locker rooms and men's locker rooms separate?
I don't know. You tell me.
Because you don't want them changing around the same area. You don't want them doing that in the same place.
Sure. Why don't we just make it so that we have individual changing rooms? I don't think men should have to get changed. I don't think adults should have to get changed in front of each other either. So why not just have individual changing rooms and then that solves the issue?
I mean, that's cool and all, but
how does this relate to the? But wait, real quick. How does this relate to the bathroom? Because you're not getting naked in a bathroom, or at least you shouldn't be.
Well, it relates to the bathroom because you asked why they should be separate, and I asked you.
Yes,
why
you're saying in locker rooms it's separate because people are getting naked in front of each other. You're not getting naked in front of each other in bathrooms. So then why should bathrooms be?
It's not.
Then what's the other reason?
You're not always getting naked in a locker room.
Then what's the other reason that
you're not always getting naked?
Then what's the other reason?
The other reason that would be an issue. Well, the other reason, another reason that would be an issue is the same reason that we separate women's and men's prisons, is because men rape more women than women rape men, I would think.
Okay, you think there is a widespread endemic of trans women going into bathrooms and raping cisgender women. That's what you think is happening.
No, I think that it's common knowledge that men
They're
do
not men.
more of these sexual type crimes
Perfect.
than women.
Brilliant. They
And
aren't
when
men, so then I'm not worried about it.
Right. But when you still have a penis and balls, you're still under the same threat, whether or not you're wearing long hair
You think
or
that
makeup.
you think that
It's the
everyone
same
with
threat,
wait,
regardless.
just confirming, you think that everyone with a penis and balls is a threat to all women? That's a self-report.
I think that all women perceive. I think that it would be smart for women to perceive men as a threat before knowing them. Yes.
Okay. You think it would be right for women to perceive men as a threat before knowing them? That's great. Trans women aren't men, though. You think they should perceive all penises as a threat?
Trans women aren't men. Okay. Well, I mean, have you ever heard of stranger danger? I don't think it really.
Yep, and I know that when it
think their
comes
gender
to I know that when it comes to
identity plays too much
rape,
apart
I know that when it
in
comes to
why
rape,
people
you're
do
not
these
as
things
likely
separate.
to be raped by a stranger than you are by somebody you know personally. Rape tends to happen from people that you
Sure.
personally know. Women tend to get raped the most
Sure.
from partners or older family members,
Yeah,
not
this
some
isn't- This
stranger.
isn't about rape statistics. It's about whether or not it's okay for men and women to be changing and or doing bathroom
And your
business in
reason
the same place.
and your reason why they shouldn't be bathroom is because of the rape. It's because of rape. You said it's because of that. That is the reason. So if they're not,
It's
if
because of
rape is
that
more
and
likely,
amongst other reasons as well. I mean, men
What
do
are the
other
other
things besides
reasons?
rape that
What?
make
What are the
women
other reasons?
Feel uncomfortable.
What are the
I
other
mean, they could
reasons?
look under a stall. They could.
Women
You
can
know,
look.
if,
All
if,
women.
if a woman's sitting in
Women
a
can
stall
look under
taking
the
a
stall
poop
as
and
well.
Somebody reaches their hand under.
Wait, women can also
And
do
goes-
this. This wouldn't stop.
Women can
Just
also do what?
also reach under a stall. So are you just saying all bathrooms should
Yeah,
be single-use
no,
bathrooms? If that's your case, say that. Because
I'm
like
saying if a man reached under the stall and asked you for toilet paper, you might not give it to him.
why wouldn't I give it to him? He needs toilet paper.
If I was a woman sitting in a bathroom taking a dump, and somebody reached their manly-looking hand under the stall and went, "Hey, could you give me a roll of toilet paper?" I'd be very alarmed. I'd be very uncomfortable, dude.
Why?
Why do you think? Why wouldn't you? Why would you be comfortable?
Because they're just asking for toilet paper.
Yeah, sure, they're just asking for toilet paper, but that begs the question: why the fuck is a man in the women's bathroom?
Well, we know exactly why this trans woman is in the bathroom. They're shitting. Hence why they asked you for toilet paper. That's why they're in the bathroom, because they had to shit.
Sure.
Seems a reasonable
Sure,
reason for someone to
then
be in
why
a
would
bathroom, you know?
Why would any normal woman be alarmed by that?
I don't know why a woman would be alarmed by somebody taking a shit next to them, unless they just don't like the
You
smell
know
of shit.
why. You're dodging that question. You
No,
know
I'm not
exactly
dodging the
why
question.
A woman would be alarmed by a man in the woman's bathroom. You know exactly why.
That'd be cool if trans women were men, but they're not.
Right. They're males.
Sure, I can agree that some of them are males, yeah. Most of them probably are, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. What's that have to do with...
So it'd be pretty wrong for the males to be in the female's bathroom. I don't see what you don't see about that. Like,
Well, because you can't
I don't
justify
see why
it.
we don't see eye to eye
You just
on
keep
that.
saying it's wrong because it's wrong, and you can't provide a concrete
Yeah, but you
reason
can't
that doesn't
justify
have
why
a. I don't
why
have
it's
to. I
okay.
don't have to justify why it's okay. We start on the basis in society
Well, you're the one
that
making
no,
the
no,
claim.
Mark. No, I'm not making a bathroom claim. You are. You are making the claim that they should not be in the bathroom. Therefore, you have to justify why that is. We as a society start everything from a level of you can do it, and then we have to make justifications
we all, as a society, agree that it's not right.
That's not a wait. That's
Social
not a wait.
consensus
Stop.
defines reality.
Stop. That's a wild thing to say.
Is what you're saying.
So when we had a social consensus, the slavery was okay. You think we should have never gotten rid of it?
I think biological reality is independent of social consensus.
It's not. That's not the question I asked you. Now you're saying it's not about social consensus. It's about biological
I'm telling
reality.
you what I think.
Yeah, you just changed your entire
I'm saying-
argument. You
I'm
just
saying
said we had.
biological
You
reality,
just said the reason that we
meaning-
separate bathrooms is because of a social consensus that we separate these things. Now you're saying it's not about social consensus. It's about biological reality. Like if we were bowling, your ball has
saying
gone 4 lanes
biological
over, my
reality-
G.
We're saying biological reality meaning the reality of what your biology is independent of social consensus. Okay.
Why should we separate? Why should we separate bathrooms based on biology?
It's wrong or right.
Why should we separate bathrooms based on biological sex, Mark? You haven't answered that question with an answer that doesn't have a million logical holes in it.
Should we separate bathrooms based on biological sex? Okay. I'll answer that question.
Great. What's taking so long?
I'm thinking.
Or is ChatGPT thinking?
Nobody's ever, asked me why we should continue to entertain a societal norm.
I'm sorry, you don't critically think about societal norms sometimes. I do. And my critical thinking goes, why should we separate this based on biological sex?
And women in the women's bathroom. I never really saw a problem with it.
Considering trans women are women, then bada bing, bada boom. They go in the women's bathroom. No issues.
Okay. So because trans women are women, it's okay for males to go into females' bathrooms. That's what you're saying.
Now you're saying the bathrooms are not men's and women's bathrooms. You're saying they're male or female bathroom. Pick a lane. Is it men and women's bathroom or is it male and female bathrooms?
Do males go in the men's bathroom and females go in the women's bathroom? Is that typically what happens?
Sometimes.
No, not sometimes.
Yes,
most of
sometimes.
The time. Majority of the time. In fact, I would say that would be the societal norm, no?
Yes, and I'm asking you, why should we have society
why
set up
it?
In this way?
Why change it?
Okay,
why change it?
I'm just going to let you. I would just love to know in what universe is why change it a good answer? Because it's not this universe.
Well, I mean,
why change it? Because here's why I would change it. Because there are people who identify their gender as woman who are not allowed in the woman's bathroom, and it makes them feel like shit. That's why I would change it for acceptance and equality.
Because that would be a male trying to enter the female bathroom area.
You asked me why I would change it. That's why I would change it. That's what the question you asked me was.
That's why you would change it? That one reason? I would say yes, majority rules on this one. No, like that.
No, I don't care about what. I don't care. I don't care about majority rules.
Trying to use the bathroom.
I don't care about majority rules.
Why not?
Why would I?
So you care about
the majority of society wanted slavery to be maintained. I didn't.
Why would you?
Yeah, no. The majority. Here, let me ask you a question. The majority of people in America can walk, right? So then, why should we have wheelchair ramps? Why should we have handicap spots?
A lot of places don't have wheelchair ramps.
Why should we have handicap spots in front of public buildings? Why should we have handicap stalls in the bathroom if the majority of people are not handicapped?
It's the discretion of the place that built it. It's not why should we.
No, actually, no. If you have a public-facing building, you have to follow it.
You don't have to build it.
Yeah, if you have a public-facing building, if you are a public-facing building, you have to follow ADA compliance.
Okay, so that would be only public-facing buildings?
Yeah, we're not talking about private home bathrooms, are we, Mark? I assume we're talking about bathrooms that are in public-facing places.
Okay, so
your private bathroom at home is not separated by sex, Mark. Anybody can use it.
So you're saying that why would your answer to why do we put male and female people in the same or in designated areas, right? And your response to that was, why do we have wheelchair ramps?
Nope, Mark, you might be. I'm worried that the stupid is entering your brain right now. You specifically said to me, why should the majority of society cater to the minority? And I gave you an example of the majority of society catering to a minority group. So I don't know if the stupid entered real quick, and if you want to shake the stupid out for a second, but you got to be able to follow a conversation.
Okay.
But what's also fair is someone paid for me to move on. So see ya, Mark. Shout out to who was that from? Shout out to K Bean on YouTube for wanting us to move on. God damn, people can't follow conversations. Like, come on, dude. Ugh. I would respect the bathroom people if they nutted up and practiced what they preached and made their home bathrooms separated by sex. If one of them was like, yeah, my upstairs bathroom is for men and my downstairs bathroom is for women, I'd be like, God damn, you practicing what you preach. You is preaching what you practice, my G. You is... I haven't had breakfast today. Also, can you hear how my voice is slowly getting worse and worse? Like, the sick is hitting. It's hitting me, bro. Matt, thank you for the Venmo. Said... What a wonderful... Oh, my God. It's not all showing up. What's this say? What a wonderful day discussing LGBT topics. Emily Quinn has a TED Talk about being an intersex woman. Phenomenal talk. Hail you. Hail our LGBTQIA plus sisters and brothers. Finally, hail Satan. Holy shit. True? Hail Satan. True? God damn. Fishy. Thank you for becoming a tier 2 member on YouTube. Said men are either obsessed or other people's equipment or obsessed with wanting to do self-projecting. Yo, true. Yo... Somebody on YouTube should gift 10 YouTube memberships. Am I doing all right? I'm kind of sick, but, you know. I will not use Vicks. I know Vicks helps. I know. I use Vicks on my kid when they're sick. I will not use Vicks. It's disgusting. I hate it. I hate the smell. I hate it so much. Nope. I would rather suffer through the sick. I would rather suffer. Eat a bunch of spicy foods? Now that I might do. I want a chicken sandwich. I need to start just taking zinc supplements during like my everyday. What about the plumbing code is such a great... Sudafed PE does not work. Does not actually work. Feisty, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships over on YouTube. Shout out to you, Feisty. Now they're going to convince me Sudafed PE works. Anyway, we're going to bring up the next person. I refuse to call this person by the name that they have written on here. So what's an actual name I can call you, friend? Hello. Caller number 6. I fart confetti. Are you there? Guess not. We'll give him 30 seconds. Didn't answer after 30 seconds. Moving on. Okay, next we're going to bring up Al. Al wants to debate topic number 1. Al, hello, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, how are you? What's your name? I'm Al.
Chillin'. Jovan. Al, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
Yeah, I'm a man.
Okay. That didn't answer either of the questions.
Are, he.
Okay, there we go.
And, yep. Hey, Jovan, nice to meet you.
Can I just get your age, please, Al?
I think, oh, yeah, I'm 30.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
So, I think there's a difference between identifying as trans and being there's a difference between trans women and trans men. And
Yeah.
women and men.
So there is a difference between
there's
trans women and cisgender women, and there would be a difference between transgender men and cisgender men, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's there's a couple things I want to talk about. I think it's strange that trans people are on the internet idealizing mental illness on places like Reddit or on social media. I think that becoming trans is becoming something more of a thing about social acceptance.
Al, hold on. You made a claim there. You said that trans people are glorifying mental illness. Are you making a claim that being trans is having a mental illness?
Yes, it's a mental
condition. Can you
condition.
substantiate this claim in any relevant way using some sort of scientific evidence? Preferably psychological evidence.
It would have to come from the DSM-5 or what psychiatrists use,
Perfect.
right?
No problem.
Transgenderism?
No problem. I love that you did that. Transgenderism is not a thing in the DSM-5. Gender incongruence, which is what being trans can be. Gender incongruence is in there, and it's specifically labeled by the American Psychological Association, the people who write the DSM-5, that gender incongruence has no linking to any known mental illness. It's not caused by a mental illness. So, therefore, you would agree that it's not actually a mental illness because your source says that it's not.
So, it's called gender congruence?
Gender incongruence is what it's called. Yes, gender incongruence is when you have an incongruence between your gender identity and your sex, which is what it would be to be trans. And the American Psychological Association says that being trans is not linked to any mental illnesses.
That begins in the mind, doesn't it?
Al, in order to continue,
some sort of mental illness or mental condition.
Al, all identity is in the mind. This does not make identity a mental illness. I don't think Christians have a mental illness because they're Christians, because they believe themselves to be Christians, right? And they believe God to exist. I don't think they have a mental illness for this. Secondly, you made a claim, an absolute claim here, that based on the DSM, that trans people have a mental illness. The DSM-5 disagrees with you. The people who write the DSM-5 disagree with you. So can you concede that you made an incorrect statement?
But the DSM-5 is something that constitutes a mental illness, right?
No, the DSM-5 talks about disorders. The DSM-5 talk about disorders, and what's in the DSM-5 related to trans people would be a mental disorder. Hold on, what's in the DSM-5 relating to trans people?
Glorifying a mental disorder on the internet.
Hold on. What's in the DSM-5 relating to trans people is not just being trans; it is having severe gender dysphoria. Now, severe gender dysphoria is a disorder because of the issues that can be caused from severe gender dysphoria. Not all trans people have severe gender dysphoria, right? Not all trans people have this. And the treatment that the DSM notes for gender dysphoria that is at that severe of a level is going to be gender affirming care and like societal and familial acceptance. Now, you're saying a lot of things that are like factually inaccurate. So I just want to make sure that we are being upfront on those things being factually inaccurate.
So I'm talking about the mental disorder. What's the term for the mental disorder that you keep coining?
So I didn't coin anything. I used the term in the book, which is gender dysphoria, which talks about the
gender
stress.
Dysphoria.
Gender
dysphoria is what brings about transgenderism.
No, gender dysphoria can be had by both trans and cisgender people.
So what is it that brings it about?
Gender incongruence causes someone to be trans. This isn't a disorder of any kind. Or I wouldn't even say it causes. Gender incongruence doesn't cause it. It's just that you are gender incongruent. It doesn't cause anything. It's just that you are this thing.
Okay, so I'd like to bring up that on the internet they keep, I think it's more about a social acceptance thing nowadays. Why are so many people coming out as trans in the first place when it wasn't a thing, let's say, 25 years ago?
You literally answered your own question before asking it. Because there is more acceptance, people are willing to come out and not hide it. That's why the trend of ages of coming out of trans people has shifted. It used to be that people came out when they were older, usually when they were out of the house and living amongst support groups. Now they come out younger because they feel more accepted at home. It's acceptance. As acceptance for something rises, the frequency of that thing will also rise.
Thank you for telling me that. That's really good to know. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all I got. All right. Thanks. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye.
What? Did we change him? I genuinely don't know. Okay. Next call. Next up, we have David. David believes that the Christian God is loving and that he is real. So, David, welcome in. Can I get your age and pronouns, please?
Yeah, I'm 19, and my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, David, you believe the Christian God is real and all loving.
$20. I was looking forward to paying to skip him. Shucks.
Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. David, you believe the Christian God is real and you believe he is not evil. So what, Dave, of which of those two do you want to start with? Do you want to start with real? Because we can start with real.
Sure, yeah, you can start with real.
Okay, Dave, what is your evidence that the Christian God is real?
My evidence. My evidence is that that Jesus Christ fulfilled a lot of prophecies. Like, for example.
And where do you get, really quickly, David, where do you get the historical facts that Jesus fulfilled prophecies?
There's some in the Bible and from eyewitnesses.
Okay, and where were those eyewitness accounts written down?
They're written down. If you look at these books in the New Testament, they were written down around 90, 80 AD. Like, so literally at the same time he was.
So alive. we're gonna go through this, David. You're making a claim that the Christian God is real because the Bible tells you he's real. The problem is the Bible is the claim. The Bible is the thing claiming that the Christian God is real. So in order to prove he's real, you now need a level of evidence that is separate of the Bible. The Bible can't be the claim and the evidence. It can only be one of those two things.
I could give you one.
Okay, sure. What is it?
So, for example, the Jews say he existed.
I have no contention that Jesus existed. I'm fully willing to admit that Jesus was a real person that existed at a real point in time. I just don't think there was any mysticism around him, and I would not believe he was a son of God or a prophet. I believe he was a real person, probably. But right now, we're trying to prove God exists. So Jesus being a real person doesn't prove that God exists. It just proves that somebody named Jesus was really alive at some point in history.
Well, Jesus says himself that he and the Father are one, claiming that he is God in human form.
Jesus also claims that he and his apostles are Jesus also claimed that him and the apostles are one. Does that mean all of the apostles are also God?
Him and the apostles.
Yes, he claims that him and his apostles are all one. So if him claiming that he's God, that he's one with God, is him saying that he is God. If he's saying that him and his apostles are all one, does that make all 12 of the apostles also God?
One is like, and where does that say that he's one with the apostles too?
Oh, sure, I'll pull it up.
Right.
John 17, 23, all who believe through the apostles' messages will be one, just as he and the Father are one.
John 17.
Yeah, John 17. I make requests not concerning these only, but also concerning those putting faith in me through the word, so that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in union with me and I am in union with you, that they also may be in union with us. So if he's saying that, they're also one, does that mean that they're all God as well? Or was Jesus, when he says I and the Father are one, he meant that more in like a spiritual sense, not any literal sense? Now this, by the way, David, does not prove that Jesus is God. It just proves that in your worldview, Jesus said he was God, right? These are two different claims.
Okay. And I'm sorry, it was 17. What now? 17.
Well, the one I just read to you is John 17, 20 to 23. But again, David, just Jesus saying he's God does not prove that God is real. I'm just want to reiterate this.
Well,
especially since the claim that Jesus says this is from the Bible, and the Bible is making the claim and is not a source of evidence. You would need evidence outside the Bible. If I were to tell you, hey, David, mermaids are real because I found a notebook written by a bunch of sailors back in like 1455 that said they saw mermaids, this isn't enough evidence to corroborate the claim.
Yeah. I was going to tell you something. So I was reading it, right? And here it says that, for me, it's saying that they may be one as in they're all united as one person, like as one church, not that they're all one.
Yes, I believe this would be the same way
God.
Jesus was referring to God when he says that he and God are one. It's that we are all one with God and all united in his holy whatever. I believe he's using the phrase in the same way. This doesn't prove, though, doesn't prove evidence of God.
But on the next
evidence
verse,
of God.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, but on the next verse it says that Father, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, meaning that the Father's in him and he's in the Father.
I think that right there proves to me that Jesus didn't think he was God, because first of all, I think if Jesus believes himself to be God, why would he be referring to God as a separate entity such as Father? I think what Jesus would have been saying is he'd be more speaking to himself, right? Secondly, if Jesus is saying, I want to be one with them as I am with you, right? This is going to clarify the way that he means that I and the Father are one when he says that earlier. He's clarifying this.
Well, so
he's more talking about a spiritual unity between himself and God. But David, again,
Father,
this
Son,
isn't
and
evidence of God existing. Well, I don't believe in the Trinity, so I don't think there's much evidence in the Bible for the Trinity as well.
Well, there is a lot of evidence to me that
I disagree.
That he existed, right? You say he existed.
Sure, I can imagine a world that Jesus was a real person. I think Jesus as a person, this is what I believe to have happened. I think what happened is Jesus was positioning himself to be an anti-authority figure, right? He was going against the Roman Church and going against the Roman guard in the way that he was. I mean, we know that the Romans were after him. We can see this in the way that the reason why he was crucified. He was crucified for claiming to be the king of the Jews, which the Romans felt was specifically Herod felt what Herod, I don't remember, felt was blasphemous to the sanctity of Roman law, not for any spiritual reason. I think what happened is he was Herod. Thank you, guys. What happened is he was more fighting against what seemed like Roman oppression against like the poor people of the time and whatnot. And so they crucified him when he pushed some level of claim against theirs on a monarch level. And then a bunch of people took that story and reworked it, which is why we don't really get any major accounts of Jesus's life until what I think the first account is 30 years after his death is when we have, is it John is the first account? I don't remember when we're looking at the Gospels, which Gospel came first, but I think it was 30 years after Jesus's death is when we get the first Gospel, if I'm remembering my time frame correctly. I think this would be why. It's because they posthumous. They did it after the fact. They created the story around his divinity in order to formulate some power amongst this religion that they were starting. That's what I believe happened historically.
So you think 30 years, they wrote about 30 years after the fact that...
Well, we know the first gospel was written well after Jesus' death. Hold on. Let me pull it up.
Well, it was actually like in the same lifetime, like...
No, it wasn't.
Like, John, he wrote it.
The first gospel, which is Mark, would have happened around 60 to 70 CE. So this is going to be 35 to 40 years after Jesus' death. That's when that's the consensus on when the Gospel of Mark was written. So, yeah, I think that what happened is 40 years after this man was crucified, people said, oh, this is this would be a sick martyr to use in our story. And then they did.
Okay. Well, then I have a question. So you think they twisted the story and they made him look like, all this and this and that. Like, they lied about it, basically saying, right? Yeah,
I think they added mysticism to the story, yeah. I don't think Jesus performed any miracles, actually. I think healing the sick, he probably had medicine. He probably, learned some sort of holistics at the time and used medicine to help people, possibly. Feeding the poor, I don't think he turned water into wine. I think he just, gave people food and whatnot. Right. And then they took these things, they added miracles to it. They mystified Jesus's story because it looked better in the church.
So then why did they die for that then?
A lot of people. Why do people die for cults? I don't know. Why do people die for their cult beliefs? A lot of people do a lot of weird things.
Well, because they were misguided, for sure. And
these people could have been misguided.
But why did 12 of them? I'm telling you, out of 11 of them died for this man because they truly believed in him.
Okay.
If they made this guy up and they were gonna,
I don't think they died. I don't necessarily think they died for the man, but because again. Mark, according to the gospel, would have been killed around 68 CE. So he would have been killed 40 plus years after Jesus died, right? That's a long time for people to wait to finally take him out, But I think what happened is he wrote a story. He it's typically said that he was killed for his faith. I don't know. He wrote a story that was added to a religion. That religion was growing in power, and the opposing side said, "Hey, if we get this guy out of here, maybe this will stop it." And it didn't. It continued to grow after that.
But when they were killing them, they were literally telling them that denounce your God, right? Denounce that he's not the Son of God, and we'll let you go. They had their chance, They had their chance to escape their death, but they didn't. And why would anybody go that far for like? You say it's Cole, right? You say
I don't. The only reliable sources that really tell us that he was killed for his belief comes from the Bible, my G. It comes from the book making the claim.
Well, they were killed by the Romans, and I'm pretty sure the Romans did have a record of them killing them.
I'd have to look. I don't think we have Roman historical records for why they killed Mark. I can try to fact check it. Because if I'm remembering correctly, Mark was killed by pagans, wasn't he? Wasn't he killed by the pagans? Why would the Romans have historical records about that? Yeah, the only here it is. The only accounts of Mark's death are from the Acts of Mark, Eusebius of Caesarea, which is 4th century and 4th and 5th century historical book, and Coptic Christian writings from Egypt. So, like, we have no evidence from the time of Mark's death about why Mark died. It was all posthumously. Did I say that right? It was all written after the fact. But again, just to bring us back to topic, none of this proves that God is real. Even if Mark was killed because he believed, even if Mark believed Jesus to be the Son of God and was killed for this belief, that still doesn't prove it.
Well, Peter, no, he for sure died by the Romans. By crucifixion, he got crucified upside down, and he also died, because he didn't want to renounce Jesus Christ. But you've seen it.
There are no Roman records of Peter's death. Just by the way, there are none. Like from Rome, the only records come from the church. There are no records from Rome that shows why Peter was killed.
Well, I'll tell you this. So you think Alexander the Great existed?
I will let you go down this route, David, but it's a theist argument that's used a lot. That's like a very poor theist argument. Yes, I think Alexander the Great existed. Like I've claimed that I believe Jesus probably existed. There are what appears to be valid historical records that a person named Jesus existed at this time through writing from people that existed at the same time as him. I don't believe he's God.
But
these are two different things.
The problem with Alexander is that he was written about 300 years after the fact, meaning like nobody at that time knew him personally.
David, I don't know what you think this is. I don't know what you think this is proving. This doesn't prove anything.
What I'm trying to prove is that a lot of people think what Alexander did and that he existed is true, while their evidence is like supposedly there's like.
Also, I don't know. That seems like a claim that's not true. I'm gonna fact check that real quick.
All right. You think that they didn't write about him 300 years after the fact, or?
I think it's untrue that no one wrote about Alexander the Great when he was alive.
All right.
Yes, yeah, no, he had people write about him when he was alive. It's just that the writings didn't survive. We don't have the writings anymore.
Oh, so we don't have the writings, you say?
Yeah, that doesn't mean people didn't write about him. We just don't have any writings from that time. But again, none of this proves that Jesus is God.
Jesus,
or that God exists. None of this
Jesus,
proves that.
But I do have one that says, okay, so around 90 AD, right? This Jewish Pharisee, right? Or rabbi, he wrote about Jesus, and he did say that he died, and after 3 days, he rose from the dead. And
yes,
and
I don't believe Jesus rose from the dead. I believe, if anything, Jesus' tomb was grave robbed. I do not believe Jesus rose from the dead. There is no concrete evidence of this. I've never seen someone come back to life after 3 days. You've never seen someone come back to life after 3 days. It's the burden of proof to prove Jesus rose from the dead is a really high bar to hit that would require some really concrete evidence. We don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, back then, you can't expect them to have concrete evidence, like as a video or like medical records.
No, I expect really more than that, right? A couple people saw Jesus walk out of his tomb, though. That's not telling me anything. Anybody could have seen anybody walk out the tomb, right? You were making a claim around mysticism.
I have one person. His name is Flavius Josephus. He was a first-century Jewish historian who provided external information on some people and events found in the New Testament. And he did write about him that he rose from the dead after 3 days. And it shows here, it says that found in book 18 states that Jesus was the Messiah and a wise teacher who was crucified by Pontius Pilate. It was in his writing. It was in book 18 that, and it tells that he was the Messiah and he was crucified by Pontius Pilate. And he's a Jew. Meaning, like,
yeah. So what I'm showing is multiple biblical scholars. Louis H. Feldman, John P. Meir, E.P. Sanders, Bart D. Ehrman, they all kind of agree that the line in Flavius's text where he says, "Now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man, he was the Christ, and when Pilate had condemned him to the cross, he appeared to them alive again the third day." Most of the people believe that this was later added to the text and that it was not like originally in the text. But again, I just want to reiterate, none of this proves Jesus is God or that God is real, because we're taking everything from biblical claims and we're not like, none of this proves this, my G.
Well, Flavius is not using biblical claims. He's using,
well, again,
he's a Jew.
It appears to be that the consensus that Flavius Josephus never actually wrote this line, and that it was later added into the passage. Bart D. Ehrman said the passage in Josephus that calls Jesus the Christ and speaks of his resurrection is partly an interpolation by later Christian copyists. John P. Meir said, "It is agreed that the Testimonium Flavianum as it stands is not authentic. The core may go back to Josephus, but Christian scribes have clearly edited it." So scholars are saying differently. But again, none of this proves that God is real.
Okay. Okay, so you say Jesus is real, right? But he's not God.
Jesus could have
So then
probably
why,
been
when
a
he
real
was
person,
alive-
but not God.
Okay. You say probably, but a lot of people back then did say he was real, and a lot of people do say that he was real.
That's
he did
fine.
exist. Not trying to say that he was God, but that he did exist. Right?
There's also conflicting information because because the circumstances around Jesus's birth and life have similar stories in other ancient spiritual religious faiths. So could a person of Jesus existed? Yes. Could that person have is that person mystical? No.
Okay. Well then how come, right? Because a lot of people do think that the things he did were true, right? But let's say, for example, when he was on the cross, right? He said those lines that a lot of people like to use that like proves that he's not God, was just like, my God, why have you forsaken me? Right? How come when that verse was written, right? Because it refers to Psalms 22. And it's just literally just like a description of like what happened when he was crucified. And this psalm was written 1,050 years before he existed, before Jesus Christ was
Because
supposed to exist, right?
because crucifixions had been done for centuries. Jesus wasn't the first person to be crucified,
Well,
and he
crucifixion
wasn't the
didn't
last.
exist during that time.
Yes, they did. What? Crucifixion was like a pretty standard practice.
1,050 BC, crucifixion didn't exist.
Yes, they did. Like crucifixion was a pretty standard practice. Our earliest recorded evidence of a crucifixion, evidence of a crucifixion is from the 6th century BCE with the Persian Empire. So I don't know what.
Yeah, 600 years before Christ.
Yeah, what's the claim you're making though? That you're again making a claim that
I want you to explain. No.
Here's how I'll explain it. The Bible is lying to you. This is how I'll explain it. If it's in the Bible and it's talking about something mystical, it's most likely lying. It is making something up.
But the psalm is not mystical.
It's making something up.
It's just straight up just pure how he died. Like if you read the whole chapter, it's Psalms 22. If I could find it. Let me see. Right there. All right, there you go. It says here, right? My God, why have you forsaken me? And then it's like a song, right? But here, there's one verse that says, let's see. They pierce my hands and feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. And I don't know if you knew what happened during Jesus' crucifixion was that, they put nails in his hands and feet, right? On the cross. And when he was whipped, he literally was showing like his bones and his flesh. And and there was Roman soldiers underneath him just gambling for his clothes.
Yeah, I don't know what you think this is proving, bro. This isn't proving anything.
What I'm trying to say is that they predicted how he was gonna die.
The original psalm, the cry of anguish, the original psalm does not mention having your having nails in your hands.
They do. They say they pierced my hands and feet. This is on Psalms 22, verse 16. They say, dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircle me. They pierce my hands and feet.
Okay.
And then on the next verse it says, all my bones are on display. People stare and glow over me. And then after that, it says,
they pierced my hand. They pierced my hands and feet. Doesn't really tell me anything. They pierced my hands and feet could be anything, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a crucifixion. But again, this isn't this. All you're doing. Wait. All you're doing is saying, well, the Bible tells me that Jesus quoted something from a long time ago. That doesn't tell me Jesus was God or that God exists, David. None of this is answering that question.
I think you're taking it the wrong. I'm trying to say is that they quoted something that was going to happen to him. Like they talked about something that was going to happen in the future, right? Without even knowing.
I don't think that this is I think Jesus was quoting something that had relevance to what he was going for, not the other way around. I don't think when King David originally said Psalm, or King James, or whoever it was, I don't remember who, I think it was David, originally said Psalm 22, that he was making a prediction that this was going to happen to some man named Jesus in the future. I think he was more explaining what was happening to him. But it doesn't matter because the thing that claims this all to be true is the Bible, which again is the claim, not the evidence, David.
Well, he did a lot of things too, like what you call it?
Thank you, Boo.
Another one that he did was.
That Fuzz
A lot of people
donated $20.
obviously don't think it's true, but he was born of a virgin,
trying
right?
to use the Bible to prove the Bible. Yeet.
Okay, David, we are gonna move on. Do me a favor. What's today? Is today Wednesday? Is Skep Talk today or is Matt on today? What's the line schedule today? Who's on today? Am I high? What's the schedule today? Hold on. Matt. Okay. I can't throw you to Matt. That would be like throwing a fucking small kitten into a den full of pit bulls. Okay. I'm gonna move on. Thanks for calling, David. Fuzzy Logic, thank you for the boo. Also, Maragirial said, over this, I'm Muslim. This is more than I can deal with. Please, Susie, I'm about to go to sleep when I'm supposed to be working. Oh my God, man. Apologetics is a fun thing. Apologetics. All day, all night. Apologetics. Good old apologetics. All right. I am going to continue taking calls, but we are going to shut the call-in line off right now. We've been live for 3 hours, and we still have like 4 people in the calling queue. So we are going to move through these calls, and then that'll be the stream for today. Pillow, if you could drop a Discord link invite in the Twitch chat, that would be great. One second. All right, we're going to bring up the next person on the list. Bringing up, let's do Zach. Zach wants to debate about the Christian thing, says there is historical background that refutes a claim with a previous caller. So let's find out. Zach, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Zach. Can I get your age and
Can you hear me?
pronouns, please? Yes, I can hear you.
I am 24, and my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, Zach, you are a Christian, and you think there is historical evidence that proves that Jesus was God, or that proves that God exists, or what's the historical evidence you were talking about?
So, the guy I was referring to was actually like a few callers back now. I don't even remember the dude's name, but he was making some wild takes. But anyways, I just want to preface by saying, I agree with your other points. The only thing I had a little bit of an issue with is this third point, because I don't know if you've heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but they were found in the Middle East, and archaeologists have translated them, and they're literally from the Bible.
Okay. Sure. What's that proof?
So what you were saying during that call that made me want to, I just want to debate just because I'm curious what you have to say about it, because you said that you don't believe that the Bible is a true story, correct?
I don't believe that the mysticism of the Bible is true. I believe that some of the accounts of the New Testament are probably historically true. I think most accounts of the Old Testament are probably parables, talking more about how people should live their life and things like that.
Okay. So, then on that note, so, in Judaism, they have the Torah, which is the Old Testament, which they follow. And that's all pretty much the same stuff that you find in the Christian Old Testament. They just have slightly different beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Like they don't believe
I don't know
that Jesus
I don't know
was Messiah.
I'm just untrue what this claim is supporting, or what this is supporting right now in the conversation, because the Dead Sea Scrolls were not written anywhere around the time that the Old Testament takes place. They were dated only 250 BCE, give or take, is the earliest. So I believe they were. I think the Dead Sea Scrolls show us that the Old Testament existed for a long fucking time, but they wouldn't prove anything mystical.
Right. Yeah. And that's the problem with it, is there's a lot of hearsay, and you can't get a lot of the historical accounts, because I mean, what are you supposed to believe? And so I get where you're coming from.
What do I believe?
I
think we're not supposed to believe in mysticism. Kinda. I don't see any clear evidence for the mysticism of the Bible. So like I wouldn't believe that. You know? Right.
And I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get that. I understand where you're coming from that perspective. Yes, the thing I just really wanted to know was like on the other point, the point about God being evil. Can you explain your take on that?
Yeah, based on the Old Testament, the things that God does, I think that God is an evil being. He consistently acts with malice towards humans. He very consistently causes suffering for no reason. He acts in aligned with concrete vanity all the time. So I believe a being that, if this being were real and existed in this way, I would look at that being like he was an evil being.
Okay. I know that there's some philosophers that had some arguments for this, but I don't remember that stuff off the top of my head because it was a class I took back in like 2021, and I don't want to make a fool of myself because I'm gonna just be paraphrasing, and I don't want to misquote. So, I'm just gonna leave it at that because, I just wanted to say, like, there are people who have discussed these ideas and these beliefs that you are bringing up, because that is a very real thing to ask. Why, if God is a good God, then why is there evil? And if God is a loving God, then why does He allow for evil to exist?
Well, I'm not even worried about God allowing
for
evil to exist, right? I'm saying He does acts and actions that I would say are evil actions. That if any other being did them, we would think that this being was the devil. God does these things.
Right. And, like, for example, there's entire chunks of the Old Testament that I even have a little bit of an issue with. Like, specifically, Exodus has a lot of genocide. With all the Israelites going through Canaan and cleaning out the region because God told them to. Like, that's a bit wild.
Uh-huh.
And that I can understand why people are like, okay, that's kind of like, it's whack. Because, to draw a parallel to the present day, like what we were just seeing in the Gaza Strip with Israel and Palestine, that was acceptable. You can't defend those actions.
You're breaking up a little bit there, Zach. You're breaking up a little bit there. Hello? Hello? Oh, we lost him. We lost Zach. Unfortunately, we can't, I'm not taking any more calls today, but Zach, if you're still listening and you want to call back another day, I should be on tomorrow unless I die or get too sick to stream. Salami, eggs, and bacon, my brother. We have a couple more people calling in. Guys, if you've liked this stream, consider tipping. It helps me keep the call-in line running. The call-in line is not free. So if you want to help me keep the call-in line going and keep the show going and all that stuff, consider tipping the stream. Cash App and Venmo are on the page there. Super chats are also great. Thank you to everybody that's been super chatting today. If you like the stream, this is your best way to support. It's always appreciated, never required. I don't take any corporate sponsors. I'm not out here being paid by Netanyahu or any of the other fucking heads of any country. I do this shit because it's, well, half of it because it's fun. But, consider. Let's bring up the next person. Next up, coming up, we've got Steven. Steven wants to specifically talk about the bathroom debate. Steven, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
41 and twigs and berry.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Twigs and berries.
Okay, I need you to step
pronouns?
off. I need you to, your mic is coming in real hot. Can you take a step back from your mic for a second?
Yeah, I can do that. All right, my bad.
It's totally fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it sounds better now. Cool. So your pronouns are twigs/berries. You use neopronouns. That's very progressive of you.
Well,
and you want to talk about
true.
It's also biologically true. Twigs and berries is biology now. Did I miss some new?
First time caller, first time listener. I just wanted to have a healthy debate on some of the points that you've made.
Okay. What you said specifically you wanted to have a conversation about the bathroom debate. What about it?
Well, I mean, yeah, we could start there. That's fine. So a couple callers ago, you used the word congruent.
Yep.
Gender congruency.
Gender incongruency.
Do you have a definition on what? Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know? You got a definition on congruent? What that means?
Usually it means some level of like alignment.
Right. So, I mean, the actual definition, we can do it both ways. The actual definition of congruent is in agreement or harmony. And if we use it mathematically, which is the universal language, identical in form, coinciding exactly when superimposed.
So as I said, a level of alignment. Yep. Said more words just to say the same thing.
Right. So technically what you're doing is anti-semantical. So if it says in agreement and harmony, how is that in agreement or harmony?
So again, the phrase that I've used is gender incongruence, which describes when your gender identity does not align with your sex assigned at birth.
Yeah, kind of does. So real quick, if a man thinks they're a woman, can they have a baby?
What's the relevance of that question?
Well, that would throw it outside of harmony, wouldn't it?
Why? There are some like cisgender women who can't have babies.
No, I understand that, but they still have the anatomy to have it.
There are some cisgender women who lack a reproductive system. So what would be
that's right, either through surgery or maybe like a genetics thing, right?
Doesn't matter, still exists.
So no, that's fine. I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist. I've never said that. All I'm simply saying is this:
Stephen,
in all mammalian reproductive.
Stephen, you're not tracking what I'm saying.
In all mammalian reproductive ecosystems, all of them, every single mammal, you need one sex of the other and one sex of the other to come together to make a new one. That would be biology. Why don't we understand, if you know what incongruent and or congruent means, why don't you know the definition of biology?
Stephen, when I make a claim...
Because up until 35 years ago, this was normal conversation. Now all of a sudden it's not.
I understand your lack of ability to keep up with scientific trends, but that's not my issue. When we are talking about...
Well, trends don't mean facts, though.
When we are talking about... scientific ones do.
Listen, Jinko jeans were a thing for a second.
Yep, that's a fashion trend, not scientific trends. Two different things. Hence why I said scientific. Hence why I said scientific at the start. So just to, again, reconfirm, when I say trans men are men, I'm not making a biological claim there. When I say trans women are women, I'm not making a biological claim. I'm making a sociological claim that their gender, which would be a sociological term, would align with that of the gender category man and woman.
So, in other words,
if you have me on speaker, can you please turn it off speaker because I listen, your inability to understand what I just said is not my problem, but can you turn the phone off of speaker because I'm getting an echo?
No. It's not about understanding. I'm pretty sure I got a firm grasp on how the world works.
You don't.
I'm not going to tell anyone that they can't
Jesus
do what they
Christ,
want to do.
Steve,
That would
you
be
are
wrong.
so loud right now.
I would never tell somebody.
You're so loud right now.
Well, I'm saying you tell me to take you off speakerphone, and then you tell me to put it up to my ear. So you got to pick one. It's like the gender issue.
I don't know.
You got to
Don't
pick
use
one.
an LG chocolate. Like, I don't know. Get a newer phone. Steven, when do you believe gender?
That must be the tolerant. That must be the tolerant group.
Steven, I've never claimed to be tolerant in my life, so I don't know what that's got to do with anything.
Well, I'm just saying. You know,
just saying what?
And understanding.
I've never claimed to be tolerant, Steven. It's not a claim I've ever made about myself.
Okay.
Okay. So again.
So wait a minute. You can't tolerate yourself, or you're just not tolerant.
I've never made a claim about myself that I am a tolerant person. I don't know why I had to repeat that. It seemed like I was pretty straightforward the first time.
Well, you know, I was just wanted clarification because we didn't know. We don't know the definition of biology. We don't know the definition of trend. We don't know the definition.
Stephen, what is the definition of biology, Stephen?
Just saying.
Stephen, what is all biology is the study of living things. It's just the study of living things. That's it.
Right.
That's all it is.
And up until 35 years ago, no one had a problem. Okay, ready? I'll make it easier. What's a woman?
A woman is somebody whose gender identity aligns with their personal schema on the female sex.
So that's a long word for semantics, is what you just said. That's a long definition for making up whatever you want.
Stephen, what does semantics mean?
Semantics are words and the definitions that follow them.
Oh, so that's a long. So when you ask me for a definition, why wouldn't I give you a semantic answer for a definition?
Right,
you fucking dummy.
Well, right, but when you change the words of it, when you change the words of the definition,
Jesus Christ, Stephen, are definitions descriptive or prescriptive, Stephen?
Say again?
Are definitions descriptive or prescriptive?
Well, it would depend on the context of the sentence.
No, it wouldn't.
Why not?
Definitions by nature have to be descriptive. They cannot be prescriptive.
Right. So then why, if I call a transgender woman he, I'm wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong because of the definition you're using, Stephen. I'm saying you're wrong because I think you have a misunderstanding of how gender works. I think you have a misunderstanding of how sex works. I think you have a misunderstanding of how language works.
No. I live in the real world. I'm pretty sure I got it.
I would assume there's only one world that all humans exist on. I'd assume you live in this world.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I'm just really trying to get behind the notion that...
Stephen, can you provide me a functional definition for the word sex and a functional definition for the word gender?
All right, well, sex would be biological, which means the characteristics of your physical biology and your reproductive organs, right? So I'm just making this up. I'm not looking at a dictionary.
Sure.
And then
I have no issues with
gender
that definition.
would be the characteristics and personality traits that you express to the world.
Okay, so you recognize gender and sex are two different things. Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's on an infinitesimal level, yeah, they're different because of society's definition.
No, I asked your definition, and your definition that you gave me you described two completely different things. Would you like to reword your definition? Would you like to change?
Right.
We can always hit the we'll hit the rewind button. We can hit the rewind button. It's totally fine, Stephen. It's totally fine.
Ready? Here we go. Ready? I got this. Ready? Here you go. Hold on a second. I got you. I see what you're doing, and I got you. So, sex and gender are different based upon the definitions that I just gave. Right. So let me ask this. If a man dresses up like a woman and sticks his hand down his pants, does he not still have male genitalia?
Male genitalia wouldn't matter because your definition of gender does not involve genitalia.
Oh, so now, wait, we're changing my definition.
No, we're not.
Fit your narrative.
Your definition did not involve genitalia at all.
Right. But I did say characteristics and personality traits. What's a characteristic of a man? Not a personality.
A penis would be a characteristic.
What do they have?
Stop. A penis would be a characteristic of sexual reproduction. not the other.
Right.
You already labeled a penis as a characteristic of sexual reproduction.
Also,
now you're changing it. I need you to understand, Steven, holy shit, your mic is terrible, first of all. I don't know what phone you're calling off of, but it is god-awful. Second of all, if you are going to make a claim, and that claim is sex and gender are the same thing, which is what you're claiming to me now, and you are going to say, well, sex, definitionally, is the characteristics of reproduction, whereas gender is going to be characteristics and personality that you put out into the world. A penis only fits into one of those categories, and it's the first one. It does not fit into the second one. So I know that you now want to try to shift your goalpost because you realized that when you gave a definition that you fucked up and your definitions of sex and gender are different. So now you're trying to correct course. So I will give you the chance now to revise your definitions. So provide me if a functioning definition.
I don't have to revise anything.
Then
I'm just trying to have you explain to me how prior to 35 years ago, this was all a fact, and now it's not a fact.
We have had this understanding of a split. We've had this understanding of a split between gender and sex since the fucking 20s, my G. You not knowing that doesn't mean shit to me. Just because you found out about it 30 years ago doesn't tell. That's a non-issue in my opinion.
I would definitely refute the fact that there was a difference between sex and gender.
Scientifically we have known they've been different since the 20s.
Something different.
Scientifically, we have known they've been different. So we've had like functional definitions that were different from them since the 20s. So you can say no, that does not make this true.
So it continues. Right. So science continues to change, right? Based upon what?
Our understanding.
General consensus? Is that what it is?
Our understanding.
General consensus, right?
No, no. Not general consensus.
How not?
First of all, science doesn't change, it just is. We just kind of understand it better. Secondly,
you do know that science is a theory, right?
Shit, you don't know what theory means.
I'm pretty sure I do.
What's it mean?
I'm pretty sure the definition of theory is it can neither be proven nor disproven.
Incorrect.
Pretty sure that's what that means.
Incorrect. Okay. The definition of theory when we're talking about science is a comprehensive, well-supported explanation for a wide range of observations about the natural world developed through the scientific method and backed by a large body of evidence. So we can't, according to you, we can't prove gravity.
So none of that evidence
according to you, we can't prove gravity. According to you, we can't prove germ theory. What other theories can't we prove?
Evolution?
Of course. Of course.
Well, I'm just saying, can you prove it?
Of course you think we can't prove evolution, of course, yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying, can you prove it?
Me personally, no. Other people
can. You can't disprove it.
Other people have.
But you can't prove it either.
Evolution has absolutely been proven, time and time again. Time and time
That's why it's still called a theory.
Because theory means a comprehensive, well-supported explanation for a wide range of observations about the natural world developed through the scientific method and backed by a large body of evidence. Theories are not guesses. Theories are massive frameworks around which...
Let me get that one more time.
Steven, nope. I need you to keep... When somebody's mouth spews as much shit as yours
does,
I need you to keep it quiet because unfortunately I can't handle the smell anymore. Steven, I need you to keep your mouth shut for a second.
Go ahead.
You don't know what theory means in the terms of science. When I'm ready. You quite literally don't. Have impulse control. It's not that hard. You don't know what theory means in terms of science. You have no fucking idea. Like, quite literally. You keep trying to pigeonhole things into dictionary definitions.
I love how you start cursing when you can't answer the question.
Okay, I've answered every question you've asked. I'm going to mute you now because impulse control is very hard for people like you. And I get it. I get impulse control is hard when you were raised without a mom. Unfortunately, you got to just get that under control. So again, when it comes to theory, scientific theories are well-established facts backed by a litany of evidence. It does not mean you are theorizing that something is true. That's not what that means. And your inability to understand the difference tells me most of what I need to know about this conversation and your understanding around sex and gender, because you are incapable of having a conversation on a scientific level. If you were, you wouldn't have said the really dumb thing that theories are not provable. We can prove gravity exists. It's real fucking easy. All I got to do is drop something and bam, I've proven gravity. Does this mean the theory of gravity is untrue? No. So, Stephen, I will ask the question again. Can you provide a functioning definition of the term gender and sex in which, per your own beliefs, they are different? Can you do that? Because you have, where they are the same. Because all you've done is provide a definition where they're different.
Well, all right, so based upon the definition that you looked up on Google, based by a litany of evidence and all these other things. So, if it walks like a man and talks like a man, it should be a man, right?
I'm sorry. Men and women walk the exact same, with two legs put in front of the others.
I would say that their gait is different and their hip is they're biologically different.
That'd be a really stupid question, or a really stupid statement. Now I'm going to ask my question again.
Why would that be?
Because both walk with two legs. They both walk with two legs. The mechanisms are the exact same. I'm going to ask you a question again. Right. And we're going to see if you can answer it. If gender and sex are the same,
definitely didn't answer my question at all.
If gender and sex are the same, that's great. That I didn't ask the question that you asked me after I asked you a question. Phenomenal. If gender and sex are the same,
but you still haven't answered my question.
Provide me a functioning definition. Provide me a functioning definition for the phrases gender and sex that show that they are the same thing.
Okay. Well, a man is a biological male.
Sorry, that was not a definition for either term.
Biological woman. No, that's
not a definition for either term.
Inside the DSM-5.
That is not a definition of sex or gender that I asked you to do.
What it is.
That's not a definition of sex or gender, which is what I asked you to do.
Well, I'm pretty sure that encompasses everything, right?
Nope.
The two definitions I just gave you.
Nope.
A man is a biological male.
I didn't ask you what the definition of man was.
A female
didn't ask you what
a biological woman.
Didn't ask you what a female was. That's not what I asked you. If you're incapable of keeping up with the conversation, I'll ask it again. Provide a definition functionally.
That's what I'm saying. You like to jump around.
Okay. I'm not jumping around. I've been asking you the same question for 5 minutes. Provide a definition. I muted you again because, again, impulse control, so hard for you. Provide a definition for the term sex and gender that shows that these two things are different. That's what I asked you. I didn't jump around. That's been the question that you're unable to answer.
All right. You ready? It's called the Oxford Dictionary. Wait. That's the difference.
Is that what you want to go with right now? Are you absolutely sure?
Yep.
Great. Perfect. I love that.
It's the only answer you're going to
Absolutely.
accept.
Oxford definition of sex. Here we go. Let's do it. This is my favorite fucking thing ever. Let's do the Oxford definition of sex. Sex is going to be the sum of characteristics concerned with sexual reproduction and the raising of young by which males, females may be distinguished. Great. Beautiful. Love that definition. Love that. Now, let's look at the Oxford definition of gender, and let's see what that is, just to be sure. Oh, the social and cultural aspects of being male and female distinct from biological sex. And second, the range of identities that don't conform to traditional male and female categories. God damn. I love that Oxford proved you wrong, and we can end the conversation there. Thanks for calling, Stephen. You were not a pleasure. So stupid. That's going to be a major shout out to June, who was like, get rid of him as soon as the time is there. And I said, yes, I'm anything if not agreeable. My God. Not reading seems to be a common thing. Yeah. They don't read, bro. None of them read. It is fucking embarrassing. Anyway, we're going to bring up our next caller. Next up, we have Sebastian, who wants to talk about topic number 1. Sebastian, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
My age is 31.
And your pronouns?
And I got he, him.
Okay. Now, Sebastian, you specifically said we can't prove feelings. What you are is what you are. Are you then saying that you don't? Are you saying that you agree with like what? Are you here to debate? Or are you in agreements?
I would just like to start off. Would you agree that everyone should prove their claim?
Should everyone prove their claim? If it's a claim about like a universal truth, sure.
Okay, so if I claim I'm black, which I'm obviously not, would you affirm that? Would you confirm that?
Well, you can't claim to be black. Black is a legal distinction placed upon you by like external forces. So I would say that like being black is not like an internal thing. It's an external thing.
Okay, fair enough. So how is it possible to prove your feelings on something? So say I'm a male, but I feel that I am a woman.
You would
How can I prove that?
You would assert it. The only way to prove internal things is by saying it. You don't really have to prove an internal. They're internal.
Okay. And also, I have another question. Should hermaphrodites have the only claim to gender dysphoria because they are forced to be one or the other?
So that term isn't a term that we use in the sciences anymore. We don't use that term in the sciences anymore, and it's widely considered a slur amongst the trans population. If you're talking about intersex people who may possess intersex conditions, their gender identity can be whatever they want it to be. Just like everybody else's gender identity is whatever they want it to be.
So, I mean, it just makes logical sense to me that if I was born with only a male genitalia, I can't claim that I have gender dysphoria because I wasn't previously something that I wasn't.
What do you think gender dysphoria is?
I feel that way. How would you prove?
Sorry,
something
Sebastian. What do you think? What do you think gender dysphoria is?
It's basically somebody that feels that they are not, a male sex or female, especially when considered a reference.
That's just the definition of gender. You're just reading the definition of gender.
Than what they actually are.
No, gender dysphoria is the stress that a person might feel because their gender identity does not align with some semblance of physical representation of their sex. So typically, your gender identity doesn't align with some phenotypic attribute, and so therefore you feel the stress, which is gender dysphoria. It can affect both trans people and cisgender people.
So again, it's a feeling.
Yeah, most things that have to do with our brains have to do with us feeling something, yeah.
Okay. So I'm having a hard time understanding how, I mean, if that's the stance on that, then isn't being trans gay with extra steps?
You did you think you ate with that one?
Because you can have a gay male
Did you I gotta know, Sebastian. I gotta know. Did you
feminine.
I gotta know. You were waiting in the queue for 58 minutes. Were you like amped to use that line? Were you like, yes, I can't wait to hit him with the gay with extra steps line. That's gonna get him. That was one of the worst arguments I've ever heard in my life.
I don't see how.
Because gender has nothing to do with your sexuality. like in the slightest. Doesn't matter what gender you are. That's not going to affect who you're attracted to.
If it doesn't have anything to do with your sexuality, then why be trans at all? Why not be, I'm a male that likes other males?
Sebastian, I have to hope and pray. And listen, I might have a short fuse because today's been an interesting day of debates.
Purposes.
I have to hope and pray.
Be a stickler.
It's not about being a stickler. It's not about being a stickler. It's about what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
What do you mean? That has to do with everything.
There are trans women who still are attracted to women, right?
No, I didn't think that was a thing.
Ain't no way.
So help my brain process this. Trans women, so biologically male, are still attracted to females.
I'm going to say this as simple as I possibly can. Okay. Yes, I would call trans women who are attracted to women. No, I wouldn't call them heterosexual. I call them lesbians, probably. I'm going to say this as simple as I can. Your gender identity and your sexuality are not the same thing. I don't know that I can say it any simpler than that. They don't affect one another. What you identify as a gender does not have any influence over who you are attracted to.
Okay. So why do we sign it at birth as one or the other? Shouldn't there be a third option?
What are you talking about?
That's your viewpoint on it.
What are you talking about?
You can only identify on a birth certificate. You can only identify as a male or a female. So by your logic, you're saying we need to redo birth certificates and have a third option. Am I correct?
You're not even in the same galaxy as where I am right now.
Okay. Explain that to me.
The sex you're assigned at birth doesn't have anything to do with what your gender is,
with your sexuality.
Nor does it have anything to do with who you are attracted to. None of these things are the same. What your sex assigned at birth is different from what you identify as gender-wise, and is going to be different from, they're just different concepts entirely.
So they're just different concepts, and that's your argument on the whole matter? Is they're just different concepts?
No, it's my rebuttal to you claiming they're the same. Do you believe gender, sex, and sexuality to all be the same thing?
I believe they tie into one another. Would that be a fair argument?
It's a fair argument to make about gender and sex. It's a really bad argument to make about sexuality.
Okay, well, let's just unpack this separately. If I am a trans man, a woman becoming a man through reproductive processes or whatever, how is it, recorded on my birth certificate?
Birth certificates only talk about your sex. I don't care what's on a birth certificate.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with what your gender would be.
We talk about sex. Right. So I think the problem was we have for a long time socially accepted that both sides are exactly the same. Could you agree on that?
Historically, there has been a conflation between gender and sex because we didn't have as much of an understanding around the human mind and psychology. And as we started to understand the human mind better, we now understand that gender and sex are different things.
So by that logic, I could be whatever I want.
Nope. For instance, you can't be a truck.
It doesn't have to do with anything.
Trucks are
you can't be a what? A
So,
truck?
for instance, you can't be a truck, right?
Yeah, well,
you can
obviously,
exist
trucks
as
are
things.
mechanical.
We can exist as things inside of the human qualia if those things are internal senses of self. We can't exist as external classifications. We can exist, like you can be any internal thing you want. You can't be any external thing you want.
So you're just arguing that gender is a totally different thing, basically.
Gender is, in fact, a different thing than sex, yes. This would be a true statement.
Okay. Could you explain to me exactly what a non-binary, because like I said, I'm here for learning purposes.
Can I explain to you what a
encompasses a non-binary person? What does that entail?
They are someone whose gender does not align with either of the two sexes.
So they are claiming to be
neither man nor woman.
Other?
Correct. They don't fit into any specific gender
So they
role.
are claiming to be an organic robotic life form then?
Okay.
Because if you're not a man or a woman,
I'm gonna have a fucking
then what are you?
Fucking what?
If you claim that you are not a man or a woman, what are you? Are you an organic life form?
You're non-binary. You do not fit into the gender binary. You sit outside of it. You don't associate with the traits of either man nor woman. You are a person who does not fit. So you don't
look like a man or a woman. You just said doesn't associate with the traits. So you don't dress up as a man or a woman, you dress up as a cat. Or whatever. Would that be a correct assessment of the situation? Like I said, I'm trying to understand.
When we talk about traits associated with either gender roles, what is going to happen is non-binary people don't feel that those traits match up with their internal sense of self. They may still dress however they want. They still may wear their hair however they want because they don't feel that these traits are inherently tied to what their gender identity is. But when it comes to the way they refer to themselves, the way they internally identify themselves, it would not be under any gender category because they don't fit inside of the gender roles.
Okay. A little hard to follow, but okay.
Okay, think of computer binary code. Okay?
Ones and zeros.
Correct.
Got it.
Now what happens if I have a 2?
It doesn't work.
Is a 2 still a number?
Yes.
Does it sit outside of that binary?
Yes.
So it would be what? Non-binary.
It would. Okay.
There you go.
That's your. Okay. What's the definition of traits again?
What? What does that matter?
Said, what's the definition of trait?
What does that matter?
Because traits matter, right?
I'm going to have an aneurysm. I'm going to have an aneurysm, bro. There's no way. There's no way.
There's no way what?
When I say traits, what do you think I mean? Because I've explained it already. And now we're right back here.
Traits are something that are consistent, stable, and unique to whatever is being presented.
So if I have someone that doesn't align with the traits of male or female, and then they don't align with the socially dictated roles of men and women, what would that person be?
I guess non-binary.
There you go.
I just don't understand why this is a huge thing that is a problem.
It's not a huge thing or a problem.
Like,
there's not that many non-binary people.
And there's not that many trans, too, to be fair.
Yep, you're the one who called in about this, my G.
Exactly. I came in to learn, and I'm learning. I don't know why we're being negative about it, because you have a higher knowledge about this than I do, because you debate this a lot more than I do.
Partially annoyed because you were supposed to be having a debate and you came in instead to just like be taught.
What do you mean?
Well, I labeled it, this is a debate stream, you know?
I told you my worldview of it, and then you told me your worldview of it.
You didn't tell me your
Which can be
worldview. You told
totally
me that you
different things.
didn't understand these things and you asked me to explain them to you.
And I explained how I see them. Did I not?
Okay,
I said,
Sebastian,
isn't
do you
trans
think
people
trans
gay with
men?
extra steps?
Yes, and okay.
Is that not my look on that?
If that's still your look on it after this conversation, you didn't listen to a word I said.
No, I heard what you said, and I'm
Okay.
not saying that's my outlook on it as of right now.
Okay. Do you believe that trans women are women?
I'm just trying to understand it all as a whole.
Sebastian, do you believe trans
Do I
women are
believe
women?
Trans women are women.
Yeah.
I believe they have the right to identify as what they want,
That's not the question I asked you.
but I'm going to need more evidence.
Such as what?
Such as if they want to be women, then they should have the women parts.
Do all women have women parts?
Yeah, pretty
No.
sure. They all have reproductive organs.
No,
they
they
all
don't.
have,
They do not.
the downstairs area is the same.
No, they
Yeah,
do not.
do.
Nope.
Okay,
Some women lack
point out to me
vaginas.
where they don't.
Some women lack vaginas. They may have vaginal agenesis. Some women have Swyer syndrome, where they may lack a reproductive system completely. So they don't have women parts.
Okay, some people have abnormalities to them.
Sebastian, you told me
That
a woman
doesn't make
has.
them
You told me a woman has to
something
have.
they're not.
You told me in order for them to be a woman, they have to get women parts, but not all women have women parts. So why do trans women? Why do trans women have to have women parts if not all cis women have to have women parts?
It's an abnormality, a birth defect.
I just want you to
And it
answer my.
happens rarely.
Stop. That's not the question I asked. I said if trans women have to have women parts to be a woman, why is it that not all cis women have to have women parts in order to be a woman?
Because trans women have to have surgical to have those parts.
That's not what I'm asking you. You said in order to be a woman, I'm going to ask you one more time. In order to be a woman, they must have women parts. But there are cis women who do not have women parts. Why are you forcing trans women to have women parts when you're not forcing cisgender women to have women parts?
Because if they're not born with them, then they shouldn't have to be forced to have them.
Trans women aren't born with
Now,
them, so
if
why
you're
would you force
choosing
them to have them to be a
something
woman?
You're not, okay?
Trans women are also
Hold up,
born.
I'll let you talk.
Like what?
Now, if you're choosing to be something you're not, then you should identify with that identity and be that something that you are claiming you are. So a trans person should get female parts.
A cisgender woman who doesn't have female
Or
parts
could
is
want
also claiming to be a woman. So why should they not have to get it too?
Can we agree that cis women already have some of the parts? If they're missing one, that's irrelevant.
It's not, but thanks for playing. Shout out to K Bean for wanting to move on. I couldn't handle that call, dude. I don't know what it was about that call. That shit functionally crazy. I need to just start with the necessary conditions argument. I don't know why I even try to move to anything else. Just start there, and every time it's going to be where we end up anytime anyway. All right, this is going to be the last call. I'm starving, so this is the last call, and then I got to go. You know. We're going to bring up John. John wants to debate about topic number 3. He says science proves God. It does not disprove it. John, can I get your age and pronouns, please? Hello? John, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, John. What's your age and pronouns, please?
27, he, him.
Okay, now, John, you said science proves God. What's your scientific evidence for the proof of God?
Are you spiritual?
No.
Okay. Well, people often say that faith and science are opposites. Like, to believe in God is kind of like turning your brain off. But I'd argue the opposite, because like faith isn't the rejection of reason. It's kind of like an extension of it. Like, it's where evidence stops, meaning begins. So I would like think about how every culture and civilization in every era of human history, like they've all believed in something greater. You know, it's not an accident. It's a part of who we are, right? So I would say that faith didn't evolve like out of ignorance. It evolved because logic alone like doesn't satisfy our search for purpose. It's not anti-reason. It's like reason recognizing it like its own limits.
So, John, this is
so I would say that
this is not evidence.
Well, it kind of plays into like why would we don't really evolve things for no reason, right? So we can go into how like science kind of proves an intelligent design, you know? So instead of using science to kind of like disprove God, we can use it to kind of prove them in the sense of like the more things we uncover, the more fine-tuned and intentional everything looks. Like the constants of physics are perfectly balanced.
Wait, John. Nothing is fine-tuned. There is no intelligent design. Have you ever seen a duck's penis before?
I'm talking like on macro scales.
If a God exists, if there's intelligent design, John, if there's intelligent design, he would have designed everything. So have you ever seen a duck's penis?
Yes, I have. It's like some crazy spiky shit.
And you're going to tell me that an intelligent designer designed that?
I think that's pretty ignorant to say, man.
Why did God design ducks' penises to look like that, John?
I'm not one to know. Why would I?
They're designed specifically. A duck penis is designed specifically in a way so that if a duck penetrates a female duck, they cannot be pulled apart. So God designed a duck's penis in a specific way so that male ducks can rape female reproduction.
Ducks. Yeah, so he can guarantee. Reproduction is kind of guaranteed in that sense.
Our dicks aren't corkscrewed, and
hold on.
Our dicks aren't corkscrewed, and we reproduce just fine. Why do ducks need corkscrew penises?
I think that's like a false equivalency, and you're kind of derailing my argument.
No, it's not a false equivalency, John. If your argument is that everything that was created was
personify
John,
God this, God that.
God personifies themselves all the time. Look at the Bible. God speaks about themselves as if they are an individual human. Or an individual being.
I'm not talking about the Bible. What I'm talking about is the fact that we can, like the Fibonacci sequences or the golden ratio or like what the speed of light is, for example. Like these are constants
John,
in the universe that if they were to change any different way, you keep interrupting me.
Yeah, because you're not you're going off on a tangent that's separate. Intelligent design would mean that everything, trying to pull
it all together.
John, intelligent design would mean that everything, literally everything on the planet, everything in the universe was designed by something for a purpose, was designed intelligently, was designed specifically by that being, whatever that being might be. If that's the case,
I think you understand.
I'm not just going to argue about like the macros of the universe. I'm also going to look at the really fucked up shit he did on the micro level.
I agree, but so think of it. Here's a different perspective. I can kind of get to what I'm saying is think of a video game and think of like all the rules you set for a video game's engine to like render like some terrain or some space, like a whole universe, for example. And you have like all these set rules. So I don't need to go in and write like what a duck's dick looks like because I have all these other rules that it'll follow, that it'll just create things based off of these rule sets that'll trickle down all the way down because we have all these different laws of physics that create all these different things that trickle down into life. And some of them end up creating through evolution and everything else a duck cock to look like that. That doesn't disprove anything just because it's like seems
it fully disproves intelligent.
It
fully disproves intelligent design. Intelligent design can't exist intelligent design can't exist in the same universe where evolution exists, where random byproduct evolution can exist.
Who says that?
Because then that means it wasn't designed. Evolution is absolutely random.
No, it's not. It's random till it finds something that works, which is like AI. We train an AI. We tell it,
random.
I need you to be able to solve this problem. It'll fail a million times before it fails
random.
The right time, before it gets it right.
Yeah, I would just argue that that's random.
But how does it?
It's because the mutate.
The only way that random can go forward is if it abides by the macro rules that were set. So it's not random because it'll only work that way, the way it's intended.
What macro rules are you talking about?
like the Fibonacci sequence, the speed of light, like the constant gravity, like all of
John,
these things
what is
that
the
life
Fibonacci sequence?
shapes our universe and everything.
John, what is the Fibonacci sequence?
It's basically it's the golden ratio. And
what is the golden
ratio? It's basically like it's one. It's like a number, and you take the number and you add the previous one to itself and create a new number, and then you add that previous. But if you were to plot that on like a graph, it creates what's called a Fibonacci spiral. And so you can take these graphs, like those, like mathematical equation of like 1 and 2 is 3, and then 3 and 2 is 5, and then it keeps going up from there, right? So, and you can plot that into like basically everything. The rings on a pine cone, the petals on a flower, how many babies and sets of babies a rabbit can give birth to, like all these things in life abide by these constants. That's just one constant. The golden ratio, that spiral, if you look at somebody's face, it's built into our anatomy. When you look at somebody and you find them like naturally beautiful, it's because their facial symmetry lines up very well. The spacing between their eyes and their nose, their lips, their chin, the ears, all of that lines up with the spiral. The spaces in between in between are mathematically constant, which your brain recognizes. That's why you get that like when you see someone that doesn't look that good, you see something that looks off, on like a scary video or something that looks human but not quite human. Your brain is trying to find that pattern and it's not recognizing it. It's like that's a constant that would go off of who people pick and stuff, and that would play into evolution for who you pick as your partner. So it's like it all plays into those rules.
John, I don't know what you want me to do with any of that. I genuinely don't know what you want me to do with any of that.
Has a reason. Say that again.
I don't know. Okay.
Does it make sense? Are you able to follow where I'm at?
John, no, it doesn't make sense for a lot of different reasons. Okay. For a lot of different reasons.
Okay, please extrapolate on that.
So when we are talking about like evolution, okay, and we're looking at evolution as this guide that, hey, look at how evolution proves intelligent design. Well, this means, or you know what? Hold on. Actually, wait. Let me take a step back. Let me take a step back, because I think what the issue is here is that what you're defining as intelligent design is not what is typical of theists to define as intelligent design. Because typically, how theists define intelligent design is that they are saying that God created a perfect world, a perfect universe, in which everything in the universe is to God's will. Evolution would prove that things are not to God's will.
Yeah, I think it's ignorant for a human to think that they would know what the intelligent designer was intending.
But evolution is when, like, if everything was made in accordance with intelligent design, and we say, I don't know what type of religion you believe in. I don't know if you're Christian, or I don't know what you are.
Spiritual.
You're just spiritual.
Believe in intelligent designer.
You believe the universe was created by some intelligent being. You don't necessarily believe that this is a God, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, I think that the thing that everybody's trying to talk about, Jews, fucking like Arabians, like Christians, like everything, they're all talking about the same thing, trying to explain the same thing. They just have like their own thousands of year old like monkey ideology on trying to explain on what it is, and then they fight over it.
Okay. So here becomes a partial issue. What you're claiming doesn't prove a God, right? Your claim of evidence proves that the universe just works in this way. Now you have to take it a step further and prove that a God is responsible for it.
Yes.
Which your claim doesn't do.
Yeah, an intelligent designer.
Well, it doesn't even have to be an intelligent designer.
I like to think that we're kind of the designer observing himself. Like Like, why create something if you don't have something to experience it? So better yet, experience it yourself. That's why we have those feelings of like faith and stuff like that, is because it's kind of like we're trying to find ourselves again. That's why everyone is each other, just like a different little combination. We all go through the same feelings, just get there a different way, you know?
Sure, but John, I don't have any contention with people who like believe spirituality, right? I don't think that your claims prove that a God exists, right? I think your claims prove that like the universe tends to work in a specific fashion from what we've seen. What we've seen is things tend to follow like logical rules. Why not make the jump then to a God?
Yeah. An intelligent designer, yeah.
Because it could easily be a million. Because it could easily be a million other things. So if I was to make the
wouldn't
jump,
that just still explain him though?
No.
Like the farther it's turtles all the way down. Like, and a designer could, if you find something else, then it was just made. You know, then we got to go deeper.
If there was a super powerful being who all they did was they farted and the Big Bang happened. Like they were this super powerful being that took a fart and the gas created the core of the universe that then shifted into the Big Bang. That's not intelligent design, but that's equally as plausible as like anything else in this conversation.
Yeah, it's the only question we can't answer, right?
Well, yes, but
why does we're also the only creature that has the question to be able to be like, where did I come from?
That we know of.
And gather faith.
Well, that we know of. That we know of. We can't speak to other creatures, so we don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know that dolphins contemplate their place in the universe. We don't know this. We can't speak dolphin.
I guess I see your point there, but why then do we have that feeling? Why evolve that feeling?
Because we just don't like not knowing things. We're curious
Humans
creatures.
Have a
we like knowing things.
Add agency to everything.
Humans have a tendency to have agency. Most creatures have a tendency to have agency.
Add agency to everything. No, like hyper agency. Like we look at anything we look at. Like people can look at a flower and be like, "Oh, it's so cute," and like kind of apply this personified feeling of like that's a living thing, right? And you kind of give it its own like, you know, fucking
it's just because we have the ability for we have the ability for abstract thought, so we can think of the abstract.
It's very useful, but I think so you think it's just kind of like a manipulative, like not manipulative, but like it just so happens that faith evolves and it's the thing that kind of keeps our communities together. It's like the glue for everything socially,
I think
really.
Faith
even down
was
to government
created
stuff.
to explain supernatural phenomena that humans had not yet gotten the scientific understanding of. This is why when we look in the past, we know that there were there was religion and spirituality and faith that told us how the sun rose every day, that told us why it got cold or why it was thundering and lightning. I think it's very clear that faith existed as a way to explain scientific phenomena we didn't know the answer to.
So do you think there's an end to it then? Like we're just going to be able to know everything and there won't be any reason for it?
Here's what I think will happen in the universe to humans. If we do not wipe ourselves off the planet, I think eventually we will hit a point technology-wise where we develop artificial intelligence that is so advanced that it then in turn finds a way to upload our consciousness into the ether. And then our consciousness will then exist in all of what is the universe, separate of the universe itself. And then I think at the end of the universe, when the universe has finally hit its end point, all of those consciousness, all of that conscious thought will then reconvene and then start the universe over again.
So
don't ask me what evidence
like
I have for this. I have no evidence for this. Not now. I think eventually what will happen is, not right now, I don't. I think what eventually will happen is we will create an artificial intelligence that is so smart that when it makes its version of the cloud, that cloud will be stored in the vacuum of the universe. That like the storage.
So there's no ether now, but it'll make ether.
Yes,
it'll make
it will create it will create the ability to store information. That information will be our consciousness throughout.
Okay.
It'll be able to store it within atoms itself. So it will store us.
If
it will
it's so
store
smart,
us
do you
in,
think
in
it could
atoms.
figure out why we're here?
I don't think there's an answer to why. I don't think there will ever be an answer to why. I think we're not here.
Believable.
I think we're here
Okay.
by random chance. I don't
agree.
think we're here because of a reason.
Okay. All right. So a nihilist.
That's not nihilism.
Well, I mean, you don't, unless you create your own reason or something.
Hold on. I can understand tonight. I just always, when I think of nihilism, I add an aspect of because of this. I guess I'm not adding cynical to it. Because you believe this, you believe that nothing has any meaning. I don't think things don't have meaning. I just don't think that there's a reason why we're here.
Yeah, understood. Which would be like a classical nihilism. It doesn't need the bad connotation. But I kind of agree with the randomness and stuff. But I guess you could say I'm more of like an optimistic nihilist, where like maybe there's no reason, but I believe because everything's a little too perfect, that some sort of intelligent designer would seem more logical, more rational to me, actually, than to just say there's nothing. But yeah, so I don't know. But those are basically my points, and but yeah, I thought this was kind of constructive.
Mm-hmm. Sure, no problem.
Well, I'll let you go get some food, man.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in again.
Of course. You have a good rest of your day, man. I'll call in some other time.
For anybody who's wondering about my prediction for the universe, I literally just quoted Isaac Asimov's The Last Question. It's a short story, so that's all I did was quote Isaac Asimov's story. Go read it. It's actually really fucking good. All right. We are done for the day. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you for chilling. YouTube, be easy, be breezy, be beautiful, be cover girl. Twitch, be easy, be breezy, be beautiful, be cover girl. Same for you guys. I hope you guys had a fun stream today.
Your theory about God being a shepherd.